One Piece Supreme Control, Chapter 781-800. Chapter 781 Kill Them. Abby's words made the boy named Lala burst into more tears. They are cowardly, and so am I. I'm still a child. Looking at Lala crying, Abby frowned. You're not promising, you're a boy, you're not even as good as a girl like me. But, those demon kings are so terrifying. Lala held the binoculars and looked at the demons who were unknown how many miles away. Her whole body was shaking. These demons have sharp claws, burly stature, thick limbs, and hideous faces, causing a strong visual impact to a child of his age. Abby was also afraid, but she suppressed the fear in her heart and showed a calm and strong expression on her face. The adults in those homes were unreliable, but they let their 2 children come to the devil world. Behind her was a thick package, which contained neither daily necessities nor food, but bombs. This bomb is a powerful bomb researched on the planet, which can blow up the ground in a radius of 300 miles in an instant. And their purpose is to enter the demon world, sneak into the lair of the demon world, and then drop the bomb and detonate it, so that all the demon kings are killed. The best thing is to be able to destroy the entire demon world and blow up the fellow road leading to their planet. That's the best. Stop crying and come with me. Abby glared at Lala impatiently, and Lala sniffed her nose, with grievance in her eyes, and followed Abby towards the front. The 2 of them are weak, and the energy source on their bodies is almost negligible. Therefore, as long as they walk in the demon world, as long as it is not a huge movement, they can basically avoid the exploration of the creatures in the demon world. In the periphery of this demon world, the demons have elusive consciousness, almost no wisdom, and only rely on instinct to act. The 2 groped all the way and kept walking towards the depths. In fact, it has been 4 days since they came to the demon realm. For the past 4 days, Abby has been exploring the secrets of the demon world. For example, she found that most of these demons are without wisdom. Like wild beasts, they only rely on instinct to act, high-end, but have wisdom, and even can fly in the air, but their intelligence is not high. Will there be demons with higher wisdom? And these demons are their leaders. If you can blow up these demon leaders, that's the best. The light in Abby's eyes lit up. She believed that killing these demon leaders would definitely cause huge losses to the demon world. Now that she has a goal in her mind, Abby and Lara head towards the place where the demon leaders are. She believes that these demon leaders must be the highest level demons in the demon world. All the way forward, because Lala was afraid, she almost cried a few times, and Abby put a piece of cloth in the little boy's mouth to shut him up. About 2 hours later, Abby and Lara looked at the top of the mountain in front of them, and there were a few demons with outstretched wings that could be 5 feet in size hovering high in the sky, with fearful eyes in their eyes. These demons have wisdom. Abby could see that, unlike the turbid eyes of the demons she had seen before, the eyes of these demons flickered with clear red light, and they looked very clever. Ah ha ha. Hey ha 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 ha. Several demon leaders kept speaking, as if they were quarreling, and the terrifying aura spread out from several demons, shaking the space to shake. A strong wind blew, and Abby and Lara were overturned to the ground. These demons are so scary. Lara whispered in horror. Don't make a sound. Abby glared at Lara. Then, she tiptoed to the corner of the cliff, gently opened the package behind her, and took out the explosives inside. This explosive doesn't look big, nor is it a complete piece, but it is placed separately. There are about 5 pieces, each piece is the size of a palm, and a red light flashes in the middle. One by one, the bombs were carefully taken out. Then, he dug holes in the ground and put the bombs into the holes. Finally, bury the explosives again. When all the dirt was buried in the explosives, Abril exhaled softly with a smile on her face. Success. Then, she turned around again and came to Lala's side. Let's go. Success, did you succeed? Lala asked nervously, clenching the cloth with her teeth, and it could be seen that the cloth in his mouth was already shivering. It was tears, or saliva, but I couldn't tell the difference. Well, it worked. Abby nodded affirmatively. Come on. Lala's expression was obviously loose, and then the two quietly set off from here and quickly left the place. After walking for about 3 hours, Abby and Lala walked the road without any danger, and gradually left the place where the leaders of the demons were. How is it, sister? Lara asked nervously. Abby is his sister. The two are a pair of biological siblings, and their parents died early in the battle with the demon. No problem, at this distance, we can see their destruction most clearly. Abby nodded. Then blow them up. Lala was also a little excited. The bombs that the two of them set off are foolish. As long as they bury the bombs and press the button, they will be greeted immediately. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. Big bang. Don't worry. Abby glared at Lara, took out another tent from the package, quickly set it up, and hid in it. The bomb was so powerful that we had to hide in this bomb shelter so we wouldn't get hurt. Although those adults are shameless and a bunch of cowards, the things prepared for them are still good. Go on, sister. Lala was lying in the tent, nervous and authentic. Yeah, Abby nodded, and at this time, she was also a little nervous. But the bow did not turn back. At this point, all the steps have been completed, and only the last step is left. Taking a deep breath, Abby took out the remote control and pressed it down sharply. At this moment, the void seemed to collapse suddenly. The terrifying explosion erupted in an instant, and the space began to collapse continuously. Suddenly, the temperature in the demon world seemed to have risen a few degrees. The heat wave was surging, and Abby and Lala, who were lying in the tent, could even feel that the small tent was constantly shaking, as if it would collapse completely in the next second, and they couldn't help but tremble. Chapter 782. Don't be afraid. The power of this bomb was simply too great in their eyes. The bomb shelter and the hunting trembling seemed to be uprooted by this frantic force at any time. Hidden in it, Abby could feel the oncoming heat wave. Lala was about to cry, and the expression of grievance and horror on her face was pitiful. The high-temperature heat wave lasted for nearly 30 breaths before it stopped, and Abby's heart trembled and trembled, shocked by the terrifying power of this bomb. At this time, she also understood why the group of adults swore that as long as the bomb exploded in the demon world, it would definitely save the world. With such a terrifying power, I am afraid that the entire demon world will be blown to pieces. Waiting for the high temperature to cool down, Abby just opened the gap in the tent and tremblingly, picked up the telescope and looked outside. It can be clearly seen that the originally deep golden sky is now filled with dust, and the overwhelming gust of wind is swept away wantonly. The demon world, which has experienced a big explosion, has become irritable at this time. The wind gradually calmed down, and Abby finally saw the location of the demon commander who was far away from them. However, at the first sight of the roaring demon commander hovering above the high mountain, Abby's eyes showed a look of shock and horror. How is that possible? The demon leaders who experienced the big explosion are still alive. They roared and vented the anger in their hearts. Threads of blood dripped from their bodies, looking extremely tragic. However, they are still alive. At the same time that Abby secretly observed them, these demon leaders were also looking for suspicious targets everywhere. Roar! The terrifying roar spread directly, and these demon leaders saw the tiny tents in this wasteland at a glance. The big explosion broke the mountains and peaks, and the terrifying shock wave turned this demonic territory into a plain area. Shoo, shoo, shoo. A series of voices swept across the sky, and the demon leaders roared and charged towards Abby. In just an instant, Abby's complexion changed drastically, and she grabbed Lala and roared loudly. Run! Lala, with a dazed expression, was abruptly pulled out of the tent by Abili, and then began to run frantically. On the other hand, Yang Qing, who was flying high in the sky and flying towards the depths of the demon world, immediately turned his eyes when he heard the moment of the big explosion. A battle is taking place. This huge explosion was overwhelming, forming a huge mushroom cloud in front of him, which lasted for more than 30 breaths before gradually dissipating. The energy is scattered and not concentrated, it's not like a qigong wave attack. A hint of doubt appeared in his eyes, and Yangqing immediately recognized it. The energy emitted by the organism is condensed and extremely aggressive, and it will never be scattered like this, a large-scale explosion. And in this demon world, apart from the fact that living organisms can emit qigong waves, how could such an explosion occur? Looking at this barren and desolate ground, does it seem like it's going to explode naturally for some strange reason? With an acceleration, Yangqing flew towards the place where the big explosion was. It's not far from him, and it can be reached in the blink of an eye. Yangqing was curious and naturally wanted to explore. Abby, Lala, who was running with her life, let out a loud shout. Her nose and tears were about to come out. When he learned that the demon commanders were not killed, he was already stunned. He already knew how powerful the devil was, but he was able to survive such a terrifying explosion. How could they be able to fight against such a creature? At this moment, these demons are roaring frantically, tracking them. Abby, Lala roared again, with a cry in her voice. Speak. Abby, who ran away anxiously, pulled Lala all the way. She knew that it was not easy for the timid Lala to stay awake at this time. Put me down. Lala shouted so hard that her voice broke. What? Abby's body was shocked, and she didn't understand. They're chasing me, put me down and run away. Lara cried. Hearing this clearly frightened, yet determined voice, Abby's heart trembled and trembled even more. But following closely, she held Lala's hand even tighter. What nonsense! How could I leave you alone? Her voice was equally firm. I said, put me down, take me with you, you can't run away. Lala roared loudly, her face was ferocious, like crazy, and her other hand smashed fiercely at the slender jade hand that was pulling her right hand. Crack! The voice was crisp, and Abby's arms trembled, and her white hands turned red. But she didn't say a word, just gritted her teeth, pulling Lala and running forward a little faster. Let me go, let me go, let me go. Lala roared wildly, watching the demon behind her getting closer and closer, her whole body tense and fearful. Let go of me. The cry was loud, and it was uploaded far and far in this peaceful wasteland. However, Abby still remained silent, just ran forward in silence. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. Run. They're chasing after them. After 5 breaths, Lala cried. It's too late to escape. The speed of these demons is terrifyingly fast, and they are a few points faster than the fastest vehicles in the world. Abby's whole body was shocked, and she clenched her brother's hand tightly. Lala, if you die, I will accompany you, don't be afraid. You've grown up, be brave. Even in the face of life and death, Abby still maintains the greatest calm. But at this time, she still didn't give up running away, she kept her feet under her feet, pulled her younger brother, and kept running forward. At this time, Lala also seemed to have awakened to something, and tears welled up in her eyes. He was still scared, but he felt like a man now. Roar. The roar sounded, and the sound resounded above the two of Abby, almost making them flip a duel. Come on, Abby. Lara roared again. Don't be afraid. Abby roared at the same time and ran frantically towards the front. Suddenly, a light flashed in the hands of the demon commander high in the sky, it was a crimson light. The moment she saw this light, Lala was completely sluggish. Chapter 783 You Are God. Abby also felt the hot breath above her head at the same time. At this moment, Lala was completely frightened by the crimson light in the hands of the demon in the sky, so she forgot to breathe, and she was speechless for a while. The crimson light quickly fell, and bombarded towards the place where the two were. In the mouth of the demon commander, there was already a roar, and a cruel smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Die. Their expressions seemed to say this word. It is conceivable that if you are hit by this crimson light and wait for the result of the two, there is no doubt that it will be death. The scarlet shock wave cut through the void, getting closer and closer to the two of them. Abilee turned her head and looked up at the sky, wanting to know what the danger was that made her hair stand on end. From the beginning of running until now, she has never looked back. She was also afraid that as soon as she turned around, she would lose hope of escape. What's that? When she turned around, she finally saw it clearly. It was a crimson-red aggregate that was like blood condensed, but burned like a flame. But she didn't need to think about it. No matter what this thing was, it would destroy their lives in an instant. In an instant, the distance between life and death was so close. The speed at which the Qigong wave descended was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, it had already reached the top of the two of them. Then, a bright and incomparably bright light bloomed. It's over. The high temperature made Abby's black hair seem to be on fire, and it made her tremble. At this last moment, she suddenly pulled Lala over, and her whole body was abruptly blocked in front of Lala. Sister. Lala was stunned, and at the same time, a huge fear appeared in her eyes. Boom. A huge roar came out, and the flames flew in all directions, wrapping the figures of the two. The demon commander high in the sky let out a sharp neigh, as if shouting excitedly. After a full 5 or 6 breaths, Abby just reacted. Her eyes, which were tightly closed because of fear of death, slowly opened, and she stared dumbfounded at the figure standing in front of her. I'm not dead. Of course you're not dead. A gentle voice entered her ears, and the man standing in front of her slowly turned around. I saw that he was fit and handsome and upright, with a gentle temperament in his face, and it was easy to approach. Black hair, black eyes, wearing a black martial arts uniform, with a tall and handsome figure. Who are you? Abby asked blankly. We'll talk about this later. Looking at the woman who was sluggish and obviously did not respond, Yang Qing responded with a chuckle, then turned her head and looked at the demons hovering in the sky and waving their wings. These demons are not considered high-level in the demon world, and they can be distinguished by their IQ, but they are only low-level demons. At most, they are stronger than the outer ones. But this is the point, these demons have already released Qigong waves. Although, in Yang Qing's eyes, these attacks had no offensive power and were full of flaws, but they also prove that the demons are powerful. Let me deal with them first. As soon as the voice fell, Yang Qing's figure swayed up and went straight to the sky. In just a moment, he naturally had no interest in dealing with these weak demons who had no IQ and acted on instinct. One hand suddenly stretched out, and a light blue Qigong wave was formed in an instant. Boom boom. 6 Qigong waves in a row hit the roaring demons in an instant. In the blink of an eye, a skyrocketing explosion erupted in the sky. The explosion range was not as large as that of the previous demons, but the power was extremely concentrated. In an instant, it covered all the low-level demons in the air and completely disappeared. Later, Yang Qing came to the front of the two siblings again. Seeing with their own eyes the power of Yang Qing to destroy the devil in his hands, both sisters and brothers were stunned. They have never seen such a powerful human being, and they even doubt whether the young man in front of them is a god. Are you a god? Lala asked dumbly. God. Yang Qing was startled, then smiled and patted the child's head. If you call it that, you were right. Are you really a god? Abri said in shock. So to speak. Yang Qing didn't hide it either, nodded. He is the reserve of the realm king god, and he is indeed a god with roots and roots. Hearing Yang Qing's admission, the siblings immediately became excited. You are a god, so are you here to destroy these demons? Abby asked nervously, this matter is too important. The power of those devils, she saw in her eyes, even the most powerful bombs in their world did not kill the other party, but the attack from the other party's raised hand could destroy them. I am afraid, such a devil, only the gods can destroy it. Destroy them. Yang Qing was stunned again, he came to the demon realm just for a fight. I just came to fight their demon king, as for the elimination. After a pause, he said again. This is the devil world, and the devil is born naturally, and it is difficult to completely eliminate it. It's the two of you. You don't have any strength. Why are you here? This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. Yang Qing is very surprised that these two brothers and sisters obviously have no strength in their bodies, but they are actually wandering in this demon world with such poor living conditions. The devil has opened a passage to our world, and we want to destroy them. Abby gritted her teeth. Yang Qing shook his head and eliminated the devil. He naturally knew that this was impossible. As for the passage from the demon world to other worlds, he is also clear. The demon world is not in the universe, but in a changing dimension like hell and heaven. And this dimension space is unstable. Because of the powerful power of the devil, the time will make dimension cracks appear, and these dimension cracks will form a shuttle channel to the universe after a long time. Unconscious or wise demons will go through these channels to destroy the universe. The realm king god rules the gods of the universe, and he is naturally very clear about the mysteries between these dimensions. It's just that this is a spontaneous behavior of the universe, and it won't affect the stability of the universe, so it never interferes. You'd better go back. In the demon world, it's not good for you. Yang Qing didn't give the two of them any hope, he just said clearly. But our world. Abby hesitated. Where is the passage from the demon world to your world? Chapter 784 Seal. Yang Qing doesn't know the coordinates of the demon world, so he needs to use the power of the divination mother to get through here. But after coming here, going back, or sealing a dimensional fellow, is extremely easy for Yang Qing, the realm god reserve. The subsequent labor to save a world is not so difficult for Yang Qing, and he is naturally happy to do it. What are you going to do? Knowing Yang Qing's identity as a god, the siblings respected him very much. Seal the demon world leading to your fellows, and naturally you can save your world. You two little fellows broke into the demon world indiscriminately, which is simply a lifeless act. Yang Qing shook his head and smiled. Regarding the actions and words of the two sisters and brothers just now, he could see clearly and hear clearly. The younger brother is naturally timid and cowardly, but at the moment of life and death, he is willing to sacrifice himself and also create a chance for his sister to escape. And the elder sister, in the face of life and death crisis, refused to let go of her younger brother no matter what. Especially, her strength made Yang Qing very moved. It is fate to meet, and Yang Qing is naturally not someone who can't afford to delay this time. Seal fellow demons. The siblings looked at each other, excited. Really, can the demon realm channel really be sealed off? Abelie said in surprise that the adults in their world had tried many methods, blowing them up, blocking them with stones, but all of them had no effect. Therefore, they decided to let them go here and blow up the devil's lair. However, what the sister and brother did not expect at all was that the demon world turned out to be an incomparably vast world, and there was no way at all, so they had to find some powerful demons to blow them up, thinking that this would have some effect. I can try. Yang Qing smiled and nodded. Then, the three started to walk back. The distance between the sister and the younger brother feels long, but it is actually very short for Yang Qing. But within a quarter of an hour, the three of them had already found the passage to the demon world. Yang Qing observed the surrounding area and found that this passage was really hidden. It happened to be in a cave or a cave inside a high mountain, and it was in a place where low-level demons lingered, and it was difficult for high-level demons to find it. The demons of the sister and brother worlds should only be discovered by the unconscious low-level demons and then entered. Otherwise, any demon with a high IQ might have the ability to instantly destroy a planet. It's here. Pointing to the dark whirlpool floating in the air, the two siblings said nervously. Get out of here, seal the passage, I will finish it. Yang Qing smiled and said, at the same time, he also took a careful look at the passage. Can we leave now? Abby said suspiciously. Yes, just leave the rest to me. Yang Qing said. But, Lord God, what about you? Lala was a little reluctant. This god is really gentle and easy to get along with. The devil in the depths, I have to go and see. you don't need to worry about me." Yang Qing chuckled lightly. Gritting her teeth, Abby still misses the people in the world over there. After all, that was her hometown, and Lala's eyes had long been filled with excitement. "Let's go." Yang Qing persuaded again. "Lord God, come to see us again. You are really kind." Abby gathered up her courage and said loudly. Yang Qing was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "We will meet again if we are destined." The two brothers and sisters finally glanced at Yang Qing with nostalgia, then stepped into the dark vortex, and disappeared here in the blink of an eye. In the cave, only Yang Qing was left. After quietly observing the passage for a long time, rays of light appeared in his eyes. With a flash of light in his hand, the Realm King Divine Sword appeared. This divine sword, called the Sword of Sealing itself, had a powerful sealing effect. And he himself has accumulated a lot of money, and has read a lot of books. There are already thousands of ditches and ravines in Shang, and he also has some experience in sealing one. The nodes in the space and the critical joints that need to be avoided, Yang Qing has already sent out the divine power to investigate it. What is needed at this time is only to use the divine power, and then combine the power between the seals to completely seal this space. Smooth out this space defect, then, this dimensional channel will naturally disappear. After closing his eyes and thinking about the steps, Yang Qing opened his eyes after rehearsing all the sealing sequences in his mind. A sacred, bright golden light appeared on the sealed sword in his hand. In Yang Qing's body, divine power also burst out at this moment, all blessings on the divine sword. In an instant, thousands of golden threads rushed out from the sword of seal and spread toward the pitch-black vortex in front of him. This eye-catching speed is not fast, but it is not slow, showing a uniform development. After a short period of 10 breaths, thousands of silk threads formed a huge golden disc, which slowly rotated and floated above the pitch-black vortex. From the side piece, it seems that the two chapters are placed one above the other. The golden light flickered in the array, which was very sacred and solemn. Under the slow rotation, a mysterious and stalwart power emanated. This is the sealing power of the gods, and it is also the power that the Realm King uses to mend space. After taking a deep breath, the sword of seal in Yang Qing's hand disappeared, and then his hands slowly opened. The golden threads are formed again, forming the shape of. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. Into a disc that is much smaller than floating in the air. From a distance, the two arrays, one large and one small, can just be merged with each other, becoming tight and complete. The golden array looks majestic and sacred, revealing a mysterious and eerie aura, as if it can seal everything in the world. Yang Qing pushed out his hands slowly, and the small array plate quickly moved towards the big array plate. Crack! The two array discs were quickly printed together and began to combine. At the same time, the newly created array disc also quickly rotated. At the center, a pitch-black seal was extremely conspicuous. In the name of the Realm King, seal. With a light drink, Yang Qing pointed out. The new array hummed and was suddenly imprinted on the pitch-black vortex. In an instant, golden light filled the sky, and the golden array disc and the pitch-black vortex were completely mixed together, and they spun frantically. After 3 breaths, the pitch-black vortex began to dissipate, as if the power of the space in it was neutralized with the golden array. After the 5 breaths, in the caves, the originally slightly rippling spatial fluctuations gradually subsided. Chapter 785 Heroes. The power of the seal has perfectly sealed the passage to other dimensions in the cave. At this moment, if you look closely, you can only see that the space where the dark vortex was originally rippling slightly, but there is no dark channel before. At the same moment, Abby and Lara had just left the other side of the world. And just as they went out, the dark vortex behind them shuddered and slowly disappeared. The tunnel disappeared. Lara screamed. "Lord God, you really sealed this passage." Abby stared blankly ahead. She knew that such a phenomenon would occur. It must be the gods' power. Although they haven't been together for a long time, she has already kept Yang Qing's appearance and temperament in her heart. The passage is sealed. Our world is safe, sister. Lala reacted and shouted in surprise. Yeah, Abby nodded, a smile on her face too. Those adults were timid and asked them both to go ahead and do this. However, by accident, they actually completed this almost impossible task. After leaning a little, the figures of Abby and Lara appeared at the foot of the mountain. On this planet, this meta-channel appeared on the top of the mountain, which was very conspicuous. There are a large number of soldiers at the foot of the mountain, well armed, always on alert. When the siblings appeared one by one, they immediately attracted the attention of the garrison generals. General Peak, it's Abby and Lara who have appeared. In the distance, the soldiers who saw the two men quickly reported. The two brothers and sisters. Peak's eyes flickered, and he was very dissatisfied that the Yu Empire could not send a brave and powerful warrior, but only let these two children go. But there was nothing he could do, and in his heart he just cursed at those old men. Civil servants are in charge of the palace, military officers are stationed in the frontier, but they have no right to speak. The fathers of Abby and Lala were the most powerful generals of the empire during their lifetimes, but they were stubborn and did not know how to adapt, and offended the group of civil servants. It is precisely because of this that they lost their lives in the battle against the demons. In the generation of Abby, that group of civil servants did not let them go. Hurry up and get them here. Peak shouted loudly. The soldiers quickly stepped forward to greet Abby and Lala. When the two approached, Peak realized that the two children looked very embarrassed. They must have suffered a lot in the devil world, but fortunately, most of the injuries are skin injuries. How are you? You're not hurt, are you? Peak asked worriedly. Uncle Peak, I'm fine, Abby said with a smile. The general in front of him knew him and was a good friend with his father. Well then, the bomb behind you. He saw with his own eyes that Abby Lee and Lala walked into the demon world. At this moment, he was shocked when he saw that the package behind the two brothers and sisters was missing. Could it be that these two little guys really threw the bomb in the lair of the demon world? We threw the bomb in the demon world and detonated it, said Abby. You actually, really? Peak was greatly surprised. These two children, how dare they have so much courage? Really dare to go to the lair of the demon world? At this moment, the soldiers who were observing the passage of the demon world on the top of the mountain all the time, moved the lens of the telescope to the top of the mountain. Suddenly, his whole body trembled, and inconceivable appeared in his eyes. General. Devil's Channel, gone. What? Peak trembled all over, and then stared at Abby and Lara in front of him, his eyes full of surprise. Afterwards, he took a few strides to the soldier's side, took the binoculars, and forgot about it with his own eyes. On the top of the mountain, there was originally a pitch-black vortex, which no longer revolved all the time, and even, at any time, a demon would come out of it and devour humans. But at the moment, there is nothing there. The demon realm channel has really disappeared. You two, what did you do? Peak looked at Abby and Lara in disbelief. He is not stupid. He naturally knows that the explosives carried by the brothers and sisters are difficult to blow up even one or two hills in the demon realm. As for destroying the entire demon realm and making the dark vortex disappear, don't joke. From the beginning to the end, the fact that two people went to the devil world was just an evil plan by those civilians to eradicate the descendants of the generals. However, who would have thought that these two little guys actually did it? All the 30,000 troops stationed at the scene clearly saw this scene, and they all looked at Abby and Lala with unbelievable eyes. Do you know, from this moment on, the two of you will become heroes of the Empire. Peak looked at Abby and Lala and said in a deep voice. The two children didn't understand what the disappearance of the passage meant, but he was very clear. There are 300,000 troops of the Empire stationed near the Demon World Passage, accounting for 1/3 of the Empire's huge army, and the Emperor of the Empire is very ambitious, always thinking about invading other countries and completing the unification of the world. Just because of the threat of demons, this plan has been shelved. But today, the Demon Realm channel has disappeared. This means that the 300,000 troops stationed in the Demon World Channel will all be restarted. The Empire's nearly 1 million heroic divisions will be activated again, and the small countries around them will have no resistance in the face of such an army. The disappearance of the seal of the Demon World Channel will mean that the situation in this world will undergo huge changes. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. And the source of this matter, the two brothers and sisters, will become heroes in the Empire. Hero. Abby was startled. She never thought she would be a hero, she just thought she was going to save the world. You two don't run around recently, I will protect your safety and send you to Imperial Yan City. The siblings didn't know the importance of this, but Pete knew it. I understand better what a huge impact will be caused behind this incident. The first is the sudden strength of the Imperial Army, and the second is the battle between the civil servants and the military officers. The faction of the two brothers and sisters with watches is the military attaché. Eyes flickering, Pete is already thinking about how to maximize the benefits of the two brothers and sisters, and maximize the benefits of their military attachés. Have to contact those guys. The world is about to change. Taking a deep look at the two brothers and sisters, Pete really didn't understand what method these two little fellows used to seal the passage to the demon world. He decided to ask the two in person when they settled down. Chapter 786_. That is to say, the two of you were able to accomplish this entirely because of the help of that young god. Taking a breath, Pete listened to the two children's narration, and his eyes were even more shocked. He originally thought that the two had touched something and the seal disappeared, but this matter actually involved the gods. After a while, Pete's mouth curled into a smile. God really helped me. The gods appeared holy. Help us, you two brothers and sisters are really blessed. Well, brother God, it's really good. Lala said vaguely while eating the food. Pete nodded, and his eyes flickered. Since there is a god, then this matter will be easier to operate. Thinking about it, there are countless demons living in the passage of the demon world. How can ordinary humans seal the passage, and only the real gods can do it? It's not clear that Yang Qing, who will be in chaos after the two brothers and sisters return, is now pressing one hand on the still slightly rippling spatial fluctuations. It will be perfect if you completely repair this space and cover up the seal. Said softly, Yang Qing's hands were constantly releasing divine power outwards. Repairing the space was naturally easy for him. Gradually, the space completely calmed down and returned to its original appearance. As if a wrinkled piece of paper is smoothed out, the space becomes natural. It only took about 5 minutes for him to repair this space. Retracting his right hand, Yang Qing checked the space again for a while, then nodded with satisfaction. The biggest difference between gods and mortals is that they are amazingly talented. This seal, repairing him is the first time, but they are all perfect, as if they have done it countless times. As long as he rehearses the things and steps in his mind, he can perfectly control them and then make them. First, seal the dimensional channel, and then smooth out the folds in the space. Yang Qing has done all this perfectly. This space was restored to its original state by him, and since then, there will be no more demons going to Abili's world. After doing all this, Yang Qing turned around and left. He did not forget that the purpose of coming to the Devil World this time was to fight for the King of the Devil World in the depths of the Devil World. Flying at high speed all the way to the depths, Yang Qing ignored the demons from the outside world. His speed was very fast, and after half an hour, he had reached the middle-level area of the demon world. The demons here have begun to have wisdom. They are not much different from normal humans. They can speak with their mouths open, think about problems, and are extremely experienced in combat. Demons are born warriors, and those with intellect are even more terrifying. Yang Qing's high-altitude flight only took 3 miles before being discovered by the demon kings hidden in the mountains. In the Devil World, the wise devil, who leads countless lower devils, is called the Devil King. The unified power of these demon kings is powerful and terrifying, and they are full of evil and ill will. Just because it is difficult for them to leave the demon world, the outside world is rarely heard of. Extending inward, the strength of the devil is even more terrifying. There is an outsider's breath in the sky. It's really interesting. In the demon world, there are still outsiders who can come here. In the high mountains, in a mansion, the devil with a grinning face slowly put down the cup in his hand, showing a cruel smile. Go out and have a look, it's already boring, you should be able to have some fun. The Demon King stood up and walked outside, followed by more than a dozen Demon King level masters who were also fully wise and indistinguishable from ordinary people. A dozen people all got up and flew to the top of the mountain, and immediately saw Yangqing in the sky. Say hello to him. The Demon King sneered and waved his hands. Yes, Lord Orthano. A Demon King at the back immediately stood up, the red light in his hand flickered, and one stagnated and rushed towards the sky. Yangqing, who was flying at high altitude, suddenly shook his head. Huh! The harsh sound of breaking the air brushed past his face, causing him to turn his head and look down. Demon King. Yangqing's face showed fighting intent. The purpose of his coming to the demon world was for these powerful demon kings. If Saiyans are a fighting nation, then these demon kings from the demon world are the truly evil god of war family. They are born devils, and devils, in a sense, are actually on the same level as gods. Just like black and white, good and evil, the demons represent evil and the gods are good. The demon kings below each had cruel smiles on their faces. In their consciousness, all people from the outside world are extremely vulnerable. There have been several times when people from the outside world came to the devil world, and they all became slaves to the devil kings and were toyed to death. In their eyes, this young man flying in the air will undoubtedly end up like this. The demon lord Orsano, let me try his power first. The moment he saw Yangqing, a demon king shouted loudly. Then, a group of light flew up instantly and quickly came to Yangqing. Ha ha, human, you dare to come to the devil world, it's really courting death. The demon king laughed loudly, and mercilessly threw a punch from his hand. The bodies of people in the demon world are simply born for battle. Their arms, legs, and arms are covered with hard barbs, which are extremely destructive. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. With such a punch, there is no need to think that if it is really hit, Yangqing's head will probably be directly pierced. Fun. Yangqing laughed, but the blood in his body began to boil for a long time. I have to say that he has been suppressed for too long after he has not fought for a long time. At this moment, seeing the Demon King throwing his fist, his whole body was actually excited. With one punch, Yangqing's right fist slammed forward fiercely. He wants to fight the devil head-on, to express the boiling blood in his body, and to calm them down. Boom! Two pairs of fists collided fiercely, and there were even visible ripples in the sky. That human being is such a powerful force. However, it is only the power of human beings. This collision caused the demon kings below to narrow their eyes and admire them. But the next moment, the demon king's face changed completely. In the sky, the demon king who punched Yangqing head-on, his face became extremely frightened at this moment. What did he see? Inch by inch, his body began to crack inch by inch, and then with a bang, it turned into a blood fog. The power of one punch directly blasted a demon king. Chapter 787 _ Yangqing, who hasn't fought for a long time, didn't hold his strength with this punch, which made him stunned in the air for a moment. Is the other party too weak, or am I too strong? He murmured, his eyes turned, and he looked at the demon kings below again. There are still many opponents, and it's nothing to be weak. If they go together, it will allow his boiling blood to vent somewhat. Below, seeing Yangqing blasting the other demons of the Demon King with one punch, their eyes immediately became serious. Master Orsano, this kid is amazing. I can see it. Osano said coldly, his eyes narrowed, and he carefully looked at Yangqing in the sky. At this moment, Yangqing, who was standing in the void, turned his right hand towards them, with a provocative smile on the corner of his mouth. Orsano, who could read lips, immediately became angry. He clearly saw that the meaning of what the human man said was actually, "Come up, come together, it's not enough to fight. Arrogant, arrogant guy. I'm going to kill you." Orsano roared loudly, waved his right hand, and suddenly shouted towards the Demon King beside him. "Give it to me and tear him to shreds." Naturally, the surrounding Demon Kings will not stay any longer. The Demon King who had gone before that had not much difference in strength with them, and there was absolutely no hope for one person to defeat them. The Demon Kings let out a roar and rushed towards the sky. Just for an instant, the battle begins again. Yang Qing was surrounded by a group of Demon Kings, and the smile on his face became stronger and stronger. The strength of these Demon Kings is actually very strong, and everyone has the strength of the Monkey King of Namek, that is, the strength before he turned into a Super Saiyan. And the majestic Demon King who leads the way has reached the edge of Super Saiyan power. This power is put into the universe, and it is absolutely invincible in the outside world. However, it is still not enough to see in front of Yang Qing. Ha! The fists of the Demon Kings quickly swung towards Yang Qing. The barbs on their fists and feet seemed to be able to split the air and divide the airflow into inch-inch strands. The smile on Yang Qing's face was deep, and his body was like a leaf, easily dodging attacks again and again. Can't hit, can't hit, can't hit. Gradually, as time passed quickly, the hearts of the Demon Kings became even more solemn. They attacked with all their strength, but there was no way to take the boy on the opposite side. Such a long attack, not even a single hit. Orsano's eyes flashed even more, and there was a touch of shock in his eyes. Get out of the way. Suddenly, he let out a loud roar, pulled between his hands, a red light shone incomparably, and then shouted again, and pushed it directly in the direction of Yang Qing. Go to hell, brat. The Demon Kings dispersed immediately, and the crimson streamer streaked across the sky, directly in front of Yang Qing. Death beam, ha ha. Seeing that there was finally an attack with enough flavor, Yang Qing let out a long laugh, and a light blue light appeared on his hands, and then he launched the same. Turtle School Qigong. Boom. A flame erupted in front of him, and at the same time, his figure was also twisted and disappeared in place. The Demon Kings suddenly lost Yang Qing's figure in the eyes. They quickly back to back, looking around. Huh. Suddenly, Yang Qing appeared above them. You are too weak. Not enough. His right leg suddenly lifted, and he slashed fiercely towards the Demon Kings. Boom. The Demon Kings joined forces to resist Yang Qing's attack, but this force was too powerful. At the moment of first contact, they heard the sound of their bones shattering. At the same time, the aftermath of this strong force spread throughout their bodies at an incredible speed, shattering their internal organs, and even affecting their appearance. Every cell. Puff puff. A series of vomiting blood came out, and the Demon Kings fell directly from the air like dumplings, hitting the ground heavily, losing their breath. In the blink of an eye, Yang Qing broke out with a split, leaving Orsano alone among the Demon Kings present. You, who is it? Seeing Yang Qing slowly approaching him, Orsano became frightened. Tell me, is there a stronger demon lord? Yang Qing had a smile on his face, which was caused by the relief after slightly stretching his tibia. However, this smile was cruel in Orsano's eyes. Yes. In the depths of the demon realm, there is an extremely powerful demon realm king, and even a demon god exists. Orsano nodded again and again in fear. He had given up his resistance. Although his subordinates were not as strong as him, they were not much worse. However, this inexplicable young man in front of him was able to kill him in one blow. This power has far exceeded him. That's good, otherwise, if the entire demon world is as wasteful as you, then I'll be in vain. Yang Qing's eyes lit up, and his tone was very flat. When Orsano heard the ridicule, his eyes trembled, and he didn't dare to say anything more. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. Sir, can you spare me? When he came back to his senses, he asked again with trembling fear. Take me a punch, take it, and I'll spare your life. Yang Qing laughed and punched out suddenly. Osano didn't have time to react. He raised all the strength in his body, raised his hands, and stood in front of him abruptly. Bang! With this punch, Orsano was swept away nearly 100 meters toward the rear, and it was stopped just now. Catch it! Feeling that the whole body was in constant vibration, but it seemed that there was no serious injury, Osano was a little excited. The terrifying power that blasted the Demon King with that punch was actually blocked by him. Yang Qing glanced at Osano, with a mocking smile at the corner of his mouth, then turned his head and flew deeper. Crack! Just after Yang Qing left Orsano for 3 breaths, Orsano was horrified to find that his body was like a porcelain, with countless fine cracks. Ah, it's over. He felt the pain of tearing, and that punch mercilessly shattered all the cells in his body. At this time, his body was already in the process of splitting. Bang! After 2 more breaths, his body burst apart, turned into a blood mist, and disappeared into the air. With one punch, Osano exploded again. Yang Qing's strength has reached a level that he himself cannot directly judge. With Kaiwang God, his progress is too great. Chapter 788 La Library. Follow the demon world and continue to fly to the depths. Yang Qing's speed was very fast, and he also found that the vastness of the demon world was beyond his imagination. And along the way, there were actually many groups of demon kings like Orsano who gathered together to form a small hill. After flying for only half an hour, Yang Qing had already destroyed 5 or 6 batches. And their power, as they go in, the more powerful they are. For example, the demon king in front of him, with ice blue skin, a cold face, and sharp barbs on his arms, legs, has reached the realm of Super Saiyan 1. Whole body flashing icy blue light, this is a cold, taciturn demon king, and his subordinates only have 2 people. But they had already been smashed into blood mist by Yang Qing, but at this time, it was himself who started to take action. Human, you all the way here from the outside world? The ice-cold demon king suddenly asked. Not bad. Yang Qing nodded. For what? The ice demon king asked again. Fight. Yang Qing also answered again. Then, there was no more dialogue. After staring at Yang Qing for 3 seconds, the ice-cold demon king suddenly let out a loud shout. The ice blue light on his body expanded again, turning into a flickering ice blue lightning. Stab Lala. Furious lightning circled around him, and a loud chirping sound came out. Quietly, the Cold Demon Dynasty launched an attack on Yang Qing. His speed was almost 10 times faster than Orsano's. Like a gust of wind, it came to Yang Qing in an instant, and then he punched. The icy cold air was blowing. Yang Qing raised his hand, caught the blow, turned his waist, and swept his right leg out. His speed was faster, although the shot was slow, but there was a feeling of being behind, reaching the ice-cold Demon King first. Body. And his extremely fast speed was beyond the expectations of the ice-cold Demon King, causing a look of surprise in the latter's eyes. Bang! The ice-cold Demon King swiped towards the rear, and the hands that were in front of him were slowly put down. So strong. His hands were trembling and shaking slightly. The ice-cold Demon King narrowed his eyes, waved his hands, and his eyes became more solemn. He thought he had looked down on the human beings who were able to fight all the way from the periphery to here, but now it seems that he still underestimated the enemy. The strength of the other party may have far surpassed himself. In the demon world, there are only demons. These demons are warlike, evil, or cruel, but what they have in common without exception is that they are all-powerful. However, in front of Yang Qing, the ice-cold Demon King felt that the other human being was more like a demon. His power is too violent. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and the ice-cold Demon King launched an attack again. His speed suddenly accelerated again, and surprise appeared in Yang Qing's eyes. But in the blink of an eye, he was even more excited. The stronger the enemy, the better. Until this time, the demon kings of the demon realm had yet to force out a little bit of his true strength. He hasn't even changed as a Super Saiyan. Of course, that's probably because he hasn't penetrated deeper into the demon realm. Bang 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 bang. A series of bombardment sounds came. Yangqing blocked his arms in front of him, and the ice-cold demon king kept launching attacks, as fast as a violent storm. But gradually, Yangqing's arms in front of him withdrew. Bang! With this punch, the ice-cold demon king hit Yangqing in the face, who didn't even tremble, and his expression was calm. The ice-cold demon king shrank in his heart, increased his strength and speed again, and frantically attacked Yangqing's whole body. The latter, at this time, even started to embrace his arms, ignoring the power of the ice-cold demon king, as if these attacks, for him, were just the bites of flies. Bang 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 bang. The voice was continuous, but the heart of the ice-cold demon king was getting lower and lower. His attack was useless. At first, the human was blocked, but when he attacked for a while, he didn't even defend. He desperately found that his most powerful attack could not even break the opponent's defense. 30 seconds later, the ice-cold demon king gasped and started to retreat. "You won, I am not your opponent." He took a deep breath and whispered to the young man in front of him, his eyes full of admiration. As a human being from the outside world, his strength surpassed himself, and he couldn't help but admire it. He has worked very hard to obtain the power he has now. It is conceivable how much this human being has paid. The talent of the devil is inherently much better than that of humans. Yangqing was stunned and found the difference between the ice-cold demon king. Most of the demon kings one met before were full of red eyes and red aura, full of cruelty and ruthlessness, bloodthirsty and blood-killing intent, but this ice-cold demon king was different. He did not have the murderous intentions of other demon kings. It gave him the feeling that this was a human warrior, chasing the end of the martial arts. "What's your name?" "Faku," said the ice-cold demon king. "You are very different." After taking a deep look at Faku, Yang Qingfei continued to walk inside. "Wait a minute." Faku hesitated, but still shouted. "Huh." Yang Qing turned his head suspiciously. Going further in, it is no longer the level of the Demon King. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. The demon world collectively calls them demon gods to the demons in the depths. The power of the devil is very powerful, and they have become gods. Faku reminded Yang Qingdao, and after hesitating for a while, he said it again. If you go in, you can come back. I would like to serve you as Lord." Yang Qing was stunned and realized that this devil is indeed different, like a clear stream in the chaos, something interesting. "Okay, I'll find you when I come out." In the last sentence, Yang Qing's voice was full of confidence and laughter, which Faku could naturally hear. This human being, he also hides a huge power. Faku looked at Yang Qing's back. His eyes were very complicated. Then, his eyes became firm again. A human being can be so powerful, the hard work I have paid is not enough. Turning sharply, Faku plunged his head downward. He wants to continue to cultivate, he is still too weak, and strive to enter the realm of the devil one day. On the other side, Yang Qing, who was far away from Faku, finally entered a different area. Looking at the golden building complex in front of him, the mighty, almost invisible coverage area, Yang Qing was a little shocked. Roots of thick golden pillars stand on the ground, densely covered with no end in sight. This is the Demon Palace. Chapter 789. Not enough. On a vast land, there are huge golden stone pillars standing in the sky, one every 100 miles. This stone pillar exudes a vast and ancient atmosphere, and the patterns engraved on it are like totems, complex and mysterious. On the side of these golden pillars, there are also huge palaces, and in this palace, there are devil gods. In the demon world, the demons with superior intelligence and invincible combat power are collectively referred to as demon gods. These demon gods are either cruel or ruthless, but they are all powerful and are the backbone of the demon world. Compared with the number, the demon gods are not as many as the demon kings and demons in the outside world, but their terrifying combat power is definitely one block 10. Standing on the edge of the demon palace complex, Yang Qing felt the terrifying aura coming from every building in front of him. The blood in his heart was boiling, and he became excited. The power in this palace is shocking, and it is not on the same level as the Demon King. I hope I can fight with all my strength. A smile appeared on his face, and in the next second, his body speeded up and flew towards the demon palace. Flying all the way, Yang Qing did not hide his power at all, and the light blue light on his body expanded and spread around. In the blink of an eye, all the demon gods on the site of the demon god palace noticed it. You, Re so brave, this is a completely different breath from the devil, it's an outsider. At the same moment, in the demon god's palace, several pairs of ruthless eyes opened, and cruel light flashed in their eyes. Did you spot me? With an excited smile on his face, Yang Qing slowed down and waited for the demon gods within the range below to arrive. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Soon, the crisp sound of breaking the air rang out, and the red light just flashed, and the 6 figures surrounded Yang Qing. Human, how dare you? The 6 demon gods were surrounded by powerful auras, their eyes were cold and cruel, and one of them shouted. Courage, I'm here to destroy you. Yang Qing's eyebrows are the same. At this moment, his madness is revealed, his face is full of smiles, and his aura is instantly lifted. Let's go together. The devil in the demon world, otherwise, I'm really afraid that I'll blow you all with one punch, it's not fun at all. Before the 2 sentences were finished, Yang Qing had already waved his fist and attacked forward. Seeing that this human being was the first to act arrogantly, the 6 demon gods were all furious. Looking for death, human. I'm going to tear you apart. The demon gods were very angry, and with a loud shout, they all attacked Yang Qing. In the blink of an eye, the fist wind whistled in the sky, and the 7 people started a chaotic battle. Yang Qing's black hair fluttered, and the speed of his body was stretched to the limit. The power of the 6 demon gods was not small at all, and they were all close to the midterm strength of Super Tournament 1, with 1 punch and 1 kick, with great power. And these 6 people didn't care about the rules of one-on-one fights. Ha ha ha, not bad, not bad. Put harder. Terrifying power continued to erupt from the depths of Yang Qing's body. Sending it to the 4 demon gods, he played with a pair of 6, and he was happy. In this fast-paced battle, the 6 demon gods became more and more afraid as they fought, and the shock in their eyes grew more and more. The human being in front of him is actually getting stronger and stronger the more he fights, and the power in his body seems to be endless. They kept improving their strength, but the other party was able to keep improving as well, taking over all their attacks without fail. Such power made them extremely surprised. This kid's aura is not human. He is a god. At this moment, 1 or 2 of the demon gods finally woke up. He is the god who broke into the demon world from the outside world. Kill him. After learning Yang Qing's identity, the 6 people were even more furious. An orthodox god dared to break into their territory unscrupulously, which was like a slap in the face. In a fit of rage, the 6 directly raised their strength to the limit. Kill. Under the roar, the extreme power of the 6 demon gods unfolded, and the speed and strength increased several times at this moment. In an instant, he came to Yang Qing's side. Crack. Yang Qing caught the first blow, but the 2nd demon god followed. With a twinkle in his eyes, Yang Qing's other hand trembled violently as he tightly squeezed the fist of the 2nd. The 3rd one caught up again. Yang Qing lifted his right foot and kicked it fiercely, forcing the 3rd back. However, next, the 4th and 5th demon gods followed again. Yang Qing's eyes narrowed, and he couldn't escape. The opponent suddenly increased his strength and attacked him, but he couldn't keep up. Too fast. Bang bang bang. 3 consecutive punches hit him in the face, mouth, and stomach. Yang Qing's whole body trembled, and a look of pain seemed to flash across his face. I hid it. This kid is too arrogant. With 1 against 6, does he think our demon gods are made of mud? Every demon god grew up from endless battles, and finally came here. We all have people who believe in ourselves. Do you think of us as ordinary inferior demons? It's really self-defeating. There were smiles on the faces of the demon gods, with disdain. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. Looked at Yang Qing with a smile. However, after 2 breaths, when they looked at Yang Qing again, their expressions suddenly changed. Yang Qing's face with a look of pain was actually full of smiles. Ha 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 ha. It's so cool. This fighting feeling. It's been too long since I experienced it. Quote. Demon God, you really have the qualifications to make me move. After a few words, Yang Qing's face suddenly turned cold. But 6 is not enough. Boom. His whole body was only shocked. The light blue aura became too strong and deep, the blue arrogance swelled, and in an instant, it was at least 5 times stronger. This sudden surge of breath made the 6 demon gods around him immediately fly out. Even, because of this suddenly increased power, the faces of the 6 demon gods even had scratches. This kid. In an instant, the faces of the 6 demon gods turned ashen. The power of this boy of the human gods was completely beyond their expectations. Come on, kill him. They have never seen such a powerful human being, and they can't believe that a mere human being has power beyond them. This is simply ridiculous. Chapter 790 Even, Yang Qing's strength made these demon gods feel a little fear in their hearts. The 6 demon gods rushed forward together, divided into 6 directions, and surrounded all of Yang Qing's space. 1 on the front, 1 on the left and 1 on the left, and 1 on the top and bottom. At the same time, there were a total of 6 attacks, which was enough to instantly hurt Yang Qing. However, to the surprise of all the demon gods, at this moment, Yang Qing's face was serious and cold, and his aura was particularly cold. What shocked them even more was that the aura of this young man was extremely terrifying. In the blink of an eye, they have surpassed the realm of all of them. Boom. The light blue arrogance turned into a shock wave that surged wildly in all directions, forming a strong wind, which blew the 6 demon gods unable to open their eyes, and the speed was suddenly stagnant. At this moment, Yang Qing moved. His speed was extremely fast, as if he had turned into a phantom, but he was in front of the 6 demon gods in an instant. What? So fast. The demon god who had just opened his eyes at this moment was shocked when he saw Yang Qing, who was already waving his fist in front of him. They wanted to raise their arms to block the blow, but Yang Qing's speed was so fast that it surpassed their speed. Boom. This punch severely hit the demon god at the front, and the latter was shocked, and then the palace fell to the ground like a meteorite. Immediately afterwards, Yang Qing's fists were waving again and again. The demon god in the back raised his hand to block in front of him, and at this moment, Yang Qing's terrifying fist had already descended. Bang bang bang. With 3 blows in a row, the whole body of the demon god was shaken, and there was a click sound from his arm. His face changed, and he fell down again just like the previous one. Afterwards, Yang Qing launched a frantic attack, and within a few moments, it swept towards all the demon gods in front of him like a gust of wind. Under the sudden increase in power, the remaining demon gods were swept away like the autumn wind sweeping leaves without the slightest resistance. Boom 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 boom. A series of explosions came out, and the demon gods smashed the palaces under them. PFF'd. After standing up, the demon gods spurted blood from the corners of their mouths, and their faces became extremely pale. They looked at the figure standing proudly in the sky again, their eyes filled with fear and shock. Too powerful, that power has far surpassed them. Where did this god come from? The 6 of us can't deal with him anymore, continue to summon the devil. One of the demon gods, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, roared loudly. The other 5 were shocked, their eyes narrowed, and they took a deep look at Yang Qing in the air. After sensing the fierce momentum of the other party, there was a hint of fear in their eyes. Roar! The 5 demon gods suddenly raised their heads to the sky and let out a loud roar. This roar had a strange fluctuation, and it spread rapidly in all directions, shaking the air into ripples. At this moment, in the demon god's palace, countless demon gods opened their eyes, and their eyes were filled with strangeness and curiosity. This is the call of the devil, an invincible enemy has come from the devil world. Interesting, someone dared to break into the demon world, and even shot at the demon god. Haha, it's interesting, the waste demon gods in the marginal world have been beaten and summoned us. At the same moment, I do not know how many pairs of eyes opened, with a cold smile hanging on the corners of their mouths, and the demon gods began to walk out of the palace one by one. In just a split second, Yang Qing felt dozens of powerful breaths coming from a distant place in the sky, his eyes flashed, and the blood flowed faster. It's finally here. What he had been waiting for had finally come. In the demon world, whether it is a demon or a demon, it is difficult to put pressure on him when it comes to individual strength. However, when these demon gods gathered and attacked him, it would be interesting. Can you put pressure on me? A hint of doubt appeared in Yang Qing's eyes, looking at the dozens of figures that came quickly from a distance. Shish! Soon, one after another figure appeared in front of Yang Qing, and the demon gods who arrived quickly surrounded him all around. At the beginning, there were only 5 or 6 paths, but as time passed, all the dense figures appeared. With playful smiles on the faces of the demon gods, they looked at Yang Qing who was surrounded by them, and their eyes were full of red killing intent. 6, 8, 23, 56, 79,112. Quote. Silently counting the demon gods who arrived in front of him, Yang Qing's eyes were filled with eagerness to try. There are a total of 112 demon gods, it's really spectacular. When the base is large, there will always be quite powerful people, and the demon world is undoubtedly the same. Yang Qing glanced over and saw that most of the demon gods were between 1 and 2 in the super tournament, but there were a few of them. The powerful ones were very terrifying, which made him also interested. At the end, the 5 demon gods with their arms around their hands, their strength even reached the stage of Super Tournament 2, which is quite terrifying. Lang Feng was quietly dressed, and there were a total of 112 demon gods, who surrounded Yang Qing tightly in the middle. Both sides had strange eyes and looked at each other. At this time, the 6 demon gods on the ground also rose into the sky, and they also joined this huge team to surround Yang Qing again. In this way, there are a total of 118 demon gods, which look extraordinarily spectacular. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. Gods of the outside world, say your name. One of the demon gods shouted loudly. If you're dead, it's better to erect a tombstone for you. Yang Qing's eyes narrowed, and he turned his eyes to the demon god who spoke out, but he was a cold-hearted demon with a powerful aura. I have never seen such a daring external god who dared to break into the depths of the demon world unscrupulously and challenge us. You will surely die today. The devil made a sound again, and they were not in a hurry to make a move. With such a mighty group of demon gods on their side, there is only one person on the other side, and they can easily destroy the other side. My name is Qing, and you will always remember my name. Yang Qing reported his name on the newspaper, but ignored the ridicule in the opponent's eyes. He slowly stretched out his hands and put on a fighting stance. Come on, demon gods of the demon world, let me see if you can force out my full strength. Boom! The light blue arrogance swelled again, and the flames of battle flickered in Yang Qing's eyes, and the cells in the whole body seemed to be shaking slightly. How dare you, do you want to challenge us all alone? Demon gods, it's a little funny, this person is really bold. Come on, I'm afraid you won't be able to fight enough. Chapter 791 Hard Resistance. In a word, all 118 demon gods changed color. The arrogance of this person in front of them shocked them. Kill him. At this moment, I don't know how many bad-tempered demon gods became angry and launched an attack on Yangqing. At the same time, a full 10 demon gods moved, came to Yangqing's body, topped their heads, and then slammed down. Their angry expressions and murderous eyes showed that these people would not hold back at all. Good come. With a loud shout, Yangqing's aura exploded again. His fists and feet were like the wind, his aura was like a tiger and wolf, and he attacked with a bang. Bang! A loud voice came out, and the 10 demon gods quickly collided with Yangqing. But as a result, the pupils of the demon gods present contracted. This kid is so strong. The attack of the 10 demon gods did not hurt Yangqing in the slightest. In that short attack time, the young god actually took the attack of the 10 demon gods perfectly. Even when they saw that the faces of the 10 demon gods changed slightly, they couldn't help but shudder. Come on. 5 more demon gods joined them, and 15 demon gods attacked Yangqing. The latter's madness is revealed, like an undefeated god of war, Ali Void, towards the attacking demon gods, waving his fists again and again to force them back. 20 demon gods attacked, causing continuous explosions in the air. Boom 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 boom. The collision and bombardment again and again caused a circular halo to appear in the sky, and the shock wave flew in all directions, forming a roar of wind. The eyes of the demon gods who haven't started yet, their eyes are cold and severe, and they are no longer relaxed at the beginning. The power of this young god is beyond their imagination. 20 demon gods attacked together, but the other party has not been injured at all. Even, they were shocked. He has been able to pinpoint the flaws, and bombarded the 20 demon gods again and again, causing them to gulp blood. Come on. For 400,000, 20 demon gods directly joined the battle group at one time. The various attacks and fists fell on Yangqing's body like raindrops. The sudden increase in violent attacks made Yangqing blink, and was hit by dozens of punches by the demons. Terrible energy burst out from the body. Yangqing's face was mad and excited. Come on, it's not enough. Boom. With a loud shout, his black hair suddenly turned golden, the light blue arrogance of his body turned golden, and his terrifying aura suddenly increased dozens of times. This terrifying aura immediately made the 40 demon gods who surrounded him to attack retreated dozens of meters to the rear, looking at him in horror. This god is too strong, all go up. A demon roared, and immediately, 30 more demons joined them. 70 demon gods attacked Yangqing. For a time, the scene was terribly chaotic, with fists, feet, and qigong waves raging everywhere. Yangqing's figure quickly shuttled among the 70 demon gods, and his expression became crazy. 70 demon gods, although each one-on-one is not his opponent, and it can even be solved with just a few tricks. But this large-scale battle was concentrated, all attacking him alone, but it gave him enormous pressure. The attack is almost airtight. As long as he pauses for a tenth of a second, more than a dozen attacks will fall on him. These attacks won't seriously hurt him, but they still hurt. The ants killed the elephant, which is the current situation. The enemy is not strong, but the number is really numb to the scalp. What was even more shocking were these demon gods. 70 demon gods attacked one person at the same time. Up to now, the opponent is still full of energy, and it seems that there is no injury at all. This guy. The faces of the powerful demon gods in the back were also difficult to look at. After looking at each other, there was obvious fear in their eyes. For a long time, it was the gods of the demon world who went out of the world and caused chaos in the outside world, but today, this god who came from nowhere has actually aroused the shock of the demon gods. All up. The demon gods roared, and in an instant, 30 demon gods joined the battle group again, and 100 demon gods attacked Yangqing. This is a hardy group fight, and it is also an extremely cool heads-up. 100 demon gods swarmed one person, and one person singled out 100 demon gods. Bang bang bang. The sound of the impact was almost never interrupted, causing half of the sky to tremble. The collective attack of 100 demon gods made it difficult for Yangqing to completely defend. Suddenly, His cheeks and body were attacked by the 3 demon gods, and he couldn't stop it. At this moment, the roar of the sky rang out. Weaknesses, seize the flaws. Kill him. Hundreds of demon gods roared and attacked Yang Qing one after another. Yang Qing didn't even come back to his senses, and a series of attacks fell on him. 100 demon gods formed a long bombardment song that would almost never stop. The fist, like a violent storm, bombarded Yang Qing's face. The successive attacks made his whole body tremble. Hundreds of demon gods formed a long line and launched attacks continuously towards Yang Qing. They were also afraid. This god was fighting 100 demon gods alone, and he was still able to fight back. They had never seen this kind of power. Such power, I am afraid that the king of the devil does not have it. Yang Qing's body trembled. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. The whole person has no time to fight back, and can't find a single gap. At this moment, he can only passively be beaten. The pain caused his body to be paralyzed, and his body was held up by the long dragon formed by the demon gods, falling toward the ground. Finally, with the sound of boom, Yang Qing slammed heavily on the ground. But even so, the fist still did not break. Hundreds of demon gods roared loudly, the crimson light clusters gathered, and the red starlight began to shine in the sky, and then plunged down towards the direction where Yang Qing was. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yang Qing finally opened his eyes, and he saw the dense red qigong bullets, which contained powerful energy fluctuations, and the air seemed to be scorched by the scorching high temperature. Such a dense qigong bomb, I am afraid it can destroy a solar system. The pressure is too much. Super 1 is not enough. Boom. The golden breath swelled again, fine lightning flashed, Yang Qing's muscles and hairstyle changed, and his face became colder. Then, he stood up quickly, his hands suddenly blocked in front of him. The scarlet starlight in the sky had already fallen, and he had no time to avoid it. Can only resist. Chapter 792 Crazy. Boom 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 boom. The sound of the explosion almost obscured all the sounds between heaven and earth, and the rolling heat wave continued to impact Yang Qing's body. The golden aura around him burned and turned into a golden hood, blocking all the forces trying to invade his body. The flames destroyed all the mountains, peaks, palaces, and totem stone pillars on the ground, and the violent airflow swept across a radius of 10,000 meters at this moment, making the air here almost evacuated. Crimson qigong waves. Even if each of these demon gods only released one, that would be quite a large number, not to mention that some people could not help but release a few more qigong waves because they were afraid of Yang Qing's power. Such explosions continued one after another, and lasted for more than 20 breaths before they gradually stopped. Thick smoke rose from the ground, and the wind roared constantly blowing, and gradually, the thick smoke dissipated, revealing everything on the ground. The hundreds of demon gods looked nervously at the ground. They didn't believe that after such a violent attack, the gods could still exist. But the next second, the scene on the ground shocked the hearts of every god and demon. Stab la la. With every flicker of the violent small lightning, the hearts of every demon god present instantly trembled. With a cold face, golden hair standing upside down, Yang Qing's whole body, except for some damaged clothes, was not hurt at all. The power seems to be overused. Yang Qing, who slowly raised his head, looked at the demon god who was in shock all over the sky, and muttered in his mouth. Super Saiyan 2 was surging around Yang Qing's body, and every flash of lightning was accompanied by great power shocks. After transforming into Super 2 Yang Qing, his power is no longer the same as before, but surpassed too much. The dense golden lightning flashed on his body too much, too violently, and densely packed, as if lightning formed a layer of feathers. He's not dead yet. This god is too strong. All shot, or we'll die. The demon gods began to fear, and the power Yang Qing showed even exceeded their imagination. It was really powerful. They had never seen such a powerful human being. The king of the demon world is no match for him. Several powerful demon kings who had been hugging their hands all the time also said in shock. Their whole bodies were shocked, and their hands were put down to prepare to shoot. Standing alone on the ground, Yang Qing slowly began to gather chi. Ah! With a loud roar, the aura of madness rushed out of his body, spreading in all directions, forming a terrifying hurricane that lifted the surrounding ground, blinked, and formed a circular area covering a radius of 10,000 meters. At the very center, where Yang Qing was standing was a large pit, radiating from him as the center, and the depth of the pit was getting shallower and shallower. The smoke and dust floated in the air, the eyes of the demon god in the sky trembled, and his heart was full of fear. Come on, demon gods, come on all, otherwise, it's too unchallenging. Yang Qing stood on the ground alone and began to challenge the demon gods in the sky, with an unruly and arrogant smile on the corner of his mouth. He's crazy. The demon gods standing in the back row finally couldn't stand it any longer, their eyes became extremely gloomy, and they all stood up. Ha! After several loud shouts, a terrifying aura emanated from the sky, and the powerful ancient demon god completely radiated his own power to compete with Yang Qing. Attack, let him know how powerful the demon world is. One of the demon gods roared loudly. All the demon gods are like locusts, densely rushing directly to the ground. During the attack, dozens of crimson rays of light gathered in the hands of the demon gods, forming a terrifying qigong wave attack, which was thrown downward. Yang Qing's eyes narrowed, his hands were placed on his waist, the golden light shone incomparably, and in the blink of an eye, a huge qigong wave formed, and then he pushed away quickly towards the sky. Turtle School Qigong Wave. The Qigong wave grew up in the wind, and in the blink of an eye, it met all the demons. Along the way, I don't know how many demons dodged in fear, and then the Qigong wave swallowed countless red dots and rose into the sky. Immediately after, the demon gods who were hitting the ground had arrived, and the first to bear the brunt were the ancient demon gods. The power rippling around them all had a super race 2 stage. Die. The first person arrived first. Yang Qing raised his fist to face each other, and threw a punch. Bang! The face of the first demon god changed greatly, and the terrifying power directly slammed him back 10 steps, and his whole body was in shock of power. The second followed closely, swept one leg, and went straight to Yang Qing's waist. Armed color. With a low voice, the dark color like steel covered Yang Qing's waist. With a bang, the second demon god's expression also changed. This blow hit him, but it didn't work at all. Just when he was thinking about where to attack with his next attack, Yang Qing's right hand turned into a palm, fell from the sky, and landed on the face of the second demon god. Crack! The loud slap in the face directly sent the second demon god flying out, and it stopped after 3 or 4 somersaults in a row. The crisp sound made the other demon gods present feel how painful it was just by listening to the sound. Secondly, the third, fourth, and fifth came quickly. Yang Qing's speed was incredible, and he even turned into a phantom. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. These demon gods punched out, followed by a punch, but they could only hit the shadow left by his rapid movement. But then, Yang Qing stepped forward again, and a single punch was able to knock up a demon god. The dense army of demon gods finally came again. Yang Qing looked at the increasingly dense demon gods, and his eyes flashed with excitement. Radiance of Super Race 2 seems to be even more surging. Come on, that's enough. 118 demon gods attacked Yang Qing frantically. Yang Qing didn't hold back anymore. His terrifying power broke out completely, forming a whirlwind. At this moment, his speed was completely invisible to 118 demon gods. In the air and on the ground, it flickered quickly. Bang! Suddenly, Yang Qing punched one of the demon gods on the cheek. The terrifying power exploded in an instant, the devil's eyes went blank, he lost consciousness, the whole person was directly knocked down by this punch, and then with a boom, the smoke rose, and the devil's head was deeply smashed into it. In the ground. Roar. Blood splattered, and the bloody demon gods not only did not fear, but arouse the anger in their hearts. Kill him. Chapter 793 Dapra. The devil's attack became more and more frantic, and he almost desperately launched an attack on Yangqing on the ground. One by one, they rushed over desperately. Yangqing could see very clearly that the evil demon gods finally fully showed their brutal side at this moment, with red eyes and hideous expressions on their faces. In each demon god's body, the power seems to have increased slightly, becoming a bit stronger. Bang! The attack of the large demon god finally caused Yangqing to be punched. His body took a step back, but after a short while, his face became cold again, and he punched out. This punch made the demon god who hit him fly directly, and the blood from the big mouth began to spurt wildly. He has the power to kill opponents in seconds, but it is difficult for the demons to hurt him. Yangqing is like a martial artist dancing on the tip of the sword of the god of death, constantly traveling back and forth in the field. Every punch and every kick of his can knock out a demon. Gradually, the power of Chaos I-2 made the demon gods present tremble. Yangqing's power was so powerful that it was almost inhuman. As the battle time passed, the number of demon gods present began to decrease. On the contrary, there were many demon gods who were either dead or seriously injured and no longer able to move. A battle that completely terrified the demon gods. Half an hour passed, and the ground in a radius of 30,000 meters collapsed. Of the 118 demon gods, only 5 remained. These 5 had blue noses and swollen faces, blood on the corners of their mouths, very embarrassed, and looked at Yangqing with fear. At this point in the battle, the 5 ancient demon gods were filled with fear. Too tyrannical, this person is more like a demon than us. Summon the king of the demon world, otherwise, we will surely die. The remaining 5 demon gods looked at each other and communicated quickly in a low voice. Yangqing could clearly hear the words of the 5 demon gods, and his eyes flickered. At this time, his body was more or less injured, but the blood in his body became more and more excited. Until this time, his strength has not been fully stimulated, and he is eager to allow him to fight a hardy battle in this demon world. Before he came to the demon realm, he had the idea of turning the entire demon realm into his one-man battlefield. At this time, this idea seems to be realized. One of the 5 demon gods trembled in his hand, and a strangely shaped drum appeared in front of him. The other 4 demon gods were scattered around, cautiously looking at Yangqing in the air. Young powerful god, your strength has won our respect. Looking at the demon gods lying around, one of the demon gods pursed his lips and said bitterly. We admit that it is not your opponent. Can you wait? I summon the ancient king of the demon world, Lord Dapra, to come here to fight you. He is powerful enough to rule all things in our demon world. I can see that you are here to fight, so wouldn't it be a pity not to fight him? The demon god's words seemed a little respectful. Yangqing raised his eyebrows after hearing this, and he naturally knew that the demon god's attitude was like this because he was convinced by himself. Are you going to summon Dapra? Yangqing laughed. Yes, demon said. Okay, I'm here to fight him. The strength of Dapra, the king of the devil world, is naturally the highest among the devil gods. He not only possesses extraordinary strength, but also possesses terrifying magic power. Like ordinary demon gods, they actually have magic power, but the magnitude of their magic power is somewhat different. And in battle, many demon gods are more advocating the powerful power of flesh to flesh, and seldom use these magical powers. In the view of the demon gods, magic power is just some juggling, and they can't exert much strength in their hands. But Dapra, the king of the demon world, is different. Not only has his own strength reached a terrifying level, but his magic power is even more extraordinary and reaches the pinnacle. Hearing Yangqing's words, a smile appeared on the demon god's face. Dapra, the king of the demon realm, was not only powerful himself, but also many of his subordinates. If he can come, then what is this young god? Young god, you are still too young. The demon god sneered inwardly, then turned around, and he gave a look at the demon god who took out the strange drum. The big drum demon god nodded, and the drumstick in his hand suddenly waved down. Boom! The dull drum sound came out, and it contained a strange fluctuation, which quickly spread throughout the entire demon realm. Dong dong dong! The sound of the drums shook, causing the entire demon world to tremble. Gradually, the sound of the drums converged into a strange wave that spread into a strange and eerie space. The drum. Yongqing narrowed his eyes and realized that this drum sound had incredible magic power. Magic power and divine power are also high powers in the universe, but the divine power is just light, while the magic power is strange and evil. After 15 breaths, the void in front of the big drum demon god began to twist, and then formed a pitch-black vortex. A figure faintly appeared in the whirlpool, with a burly figure and a cold face. Summoning this text, what's the matter? Master Dapra, the noble king of the devil world, a god has entered the devil world. The big drum devil immediately. This chapter is not over, click on the next page to continue reading. Kneeling down, the rest of the demon gods also bent their waists deeply. Is it very powerful? Dapra's low voice came again. He alone defeated our 118 demon gods. Dagu demon said. 118. Dapra pondered, then said later, I understand. Then, the dark vortex disappeared, and Dapra did not come directly from the transmission channel. After 10 breaths, a huge drum sound came out from the entire demon world, and it began to reverberate, wrapping the demon god palace. The air was constantly echoing with ripples, and the magic sound entered the ears, making countless sleeping or resting demon gods, all of them, woke up. This is Dapra's calling voice. Has the devil suffered a catastrophe? A foreign enemy broke into the demon world. Even the king of the demon world can't deal with it. At the same time, Dapra, the king of the demon world, was dressed properly in his shirt and walked towards where Yongqing was. Does the arrogant and daring god think he is very powerful? It's ridiculous. Dapra sneered and walked out of his palace. As soon as he left the palace, he saw the sky in front of him, and a large figure rose into the sky. These figures are all demons. Chapter 794 Corrado. The overwhelming demon gods spread all over the sky, and the dense appearance made the scalp numb. This huge number of demon gods has already exceeded 118. The birth of Dapra, the king of the demon world, and the sound of the drum of war, drove the demon gods of the entire demon world. The huge and vast drum sound even caused the entire demon world to vibrate. The drum sound of dong 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 began to sound continuously, and gradually spread farther and farther, reaching the middle of the demon world, and was heard by countless demon kings. Countless demon kings opened their eyes wide, their eyes full of shock, shocked by the sound of war drums. Someone invaded the demon realm and actually hit the demon palace. Who is it that shocked Dapra, the king of the demon world, and made him sound the drum of war? The sound of this drum summons all the demons, and Dapra, the king of the demon world, actually beat the drums of war, so that the demons of the whole demon world should gather in one place. The eyes of the demon kings were full of incredulity. One by one, they walked out of their residences and looked into the deepest part of the demon world, wondering what kind of shocking scene happened there. Faku is also standing on the top of the mountain at the moment, looking at the demon palace not far from him. His eyes are complex and full of surprise. Is it him? Is he the one who made the war drums sound and played the drums for him in a district? That young figure, the confidence on his face and the powerful combat power, made Faku admire in his heart. Although he didn't know exactly what happened to the demon god palace, at this moment, he had a strong premonition in his heart. It must be the young man who caused the demon god's great commotion. Dong dong dong. The drums of war are constantly playing, and the entire demon world can be heard clearly. This is the drum sound that penetrates the soul. Even if you cover your ears, it can sound in the deepest part of the soul. Yongqing also heard the clear and majestic drum sound, and he even felt the overwhelming, terrifying aura that was like a tidal wave from all directions, surging frantically. Gradually, he saw black spots one by one, and the powerful breath was perceived by him. Countless demon gods roared and roared, coming from not knowing how far away, attacking where he was, forcing him with might. Roar! The roar of the sky sounded, and with the rumbling tremors of the ground, an incomparably huge monster came from the horizon 1,000 meters. That's Kurado. The beast god of the world of Warcraft. It has also been summoned. Gosh, it hasn't been around for thousands of years. The summoning of King Dapra. Many demon gods who have been hidden in the demon world for a long time, I am afraid they have all been born. The eyes of the demon gods are extremely complicated, looking at the distant horizon, the figures that come quickly, the hearts are constantly trembling. Roar! The beast god Kurado roared up to the sky, and a hurricane formed in an instant, ravaging the entire sky, causing countless demon gods to close their eyes. This gigantic god of Warcraft is thousands of meters high, with limbs touching the ground, one step at a time. It can reach 10,000 meters long. How majestic its body is. Its pupils are huge and like a house. Just standing there, it will be given to everyone an extremely terrifying sense of oppression. Especially on its huge body, the dense scales, and the upside-down bone spurs are even more icy and ferocious. It seems that it can be inserted into the body of the enemy with a random tremor, making the opponent's flesh and blood blurred and shattered. All the demon gods in the sky gradually appeared. Yang Qing glanced at them and saw that the number had already exceeded 1,000. Each demon god had a cold face, surrounded by a strong aura, which shocked Yang Qing, who was surrounded by the center. They did not rush to take action, but after arriving here, they glanced at the demon gods present. When they saw the same kind of people lying on the ground, their eyes narrowed, and their eyes turned coldly on Yang Qing's body several times. These demon gods were all defeated by this person. Yes, he is unparalleled in combat power, too powerful. The demon god who had fought with Yang Qing before nodded, his eyes full of solemnity and fear. Fantastic guy, but he must die today. The eyes of the demon god who came later flashed, and the killing intent was awe-inspiring. Since Dapra, the king of the demon world, has already issued the summoning drum sound, it means that the king of the demon world has no intention of letting this boy leave easily. When is the attack? Kurado can't take it anymore. The demon god said impatiently, but he just looked at Yang Qing and did not intend to take the lead. Knowing Yang Qing's powerful strength in his heart, if he is the only one, I am afraid that he will be the one who will die. King Dapra is already on his way, wait for him to arrive and obey his orders. Another demon replied. Interesting, Dapra actually came over. Kurado roared up to the sky, his huge body shook, the ground rumbled and trembled, and a dull human voice came out of his mouth. Kurado, what do you think of that man? Weak as ants, in front of my powerful body, it will turn into dust in an instant. How confident is Kurado? He has been in the demon world for many years and has never met an opponent. Even Dapra, the king of the demon world, will not provoke him easily. Any enemy, under his powerful body, is small and invisible. At this moment, in the distant horizon, power surged, and a team of powerful demon gods came across the sky. The many demon gods present were shocked and looked back. King Dapra is here. A demon god murmured when he saw the person coming. Dapra, the king of the devil world, the real master of the devil world, he is not only a. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. The strength is extremely powerful, and it has the supreme clergy among the demons. Like the dimension level of the gods, Dapra's demon level is also the highest. At this moment, he led his subordinates to fly into the air, with a majestic momentum, and he suppressed the gods with the aura of a king, but on the way, there were already countless demon gods bowing their heads in admiration, with respect on their faces. Compared with him who will be controlled by Babidi in the future, Dapra, the king of the demon world at this moment, really has the momentum that a master of the demon world should have. He is strong, mighty, and has a great bearing. After more than 10 breaths, the king of the demon world came here, condescending, and Dapra stared at Yang Qing coldly. It was you who invaded the demon world and defeated the 118 demon gods in my demon world. Call your name, God. Dapra, the king of the demon world. Yang Qing's eyes flickered, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He did not forget that the goal of his coming here was originally the king of the demon world. My name is Qing. This time, it is to fight the entire demon world. Chapter 795 Battle. Dapra's eyes were even colder. Blood and violence appeared in the eyes of the demon gods behind him, below, and the sky. Although this young god was powerful, he was too arrogant. He came here to fight the entire demon world. Where is this kid in the devil world? With only one person's strength, he wants to defeat so many demon gods. Have not been born for tens of thousands of years, are the young gods in the outside world already so arrogant and arrogant? Dapra's eyes were cold and condescending, and he was madly pressing down towards Yang Qing with the domineering aura of a king. Do you think this place is a children's playground? Playground? No. Yang Qing shook his head in surprise, with a smile still in his eyes. Looking at Dapra's eyes, the light in his eyes became fierce. I think this is a proving ground where I can fight to the fullest. Proving ground. The demon gods present all shrank their pupils, and then burst into anger. How arrogant this young god is. He even used this place as his testing ground, so what about them? Help him climb the higher management ladder. Or a stepping stone. It seems that you are very confident in your own strength. Dapra's face was still cold, and it was impossible to tell from the outside whether he was extremely angry in his heart. I don't even know how powerful I am now, Yang Qing said lightly. The golden aura swelled up again, and the aura of Super Saiyan 2 gradually grew, and the terrifying aura began to permeate. The fluctuation of this majestic aura immediately attracted the eyes of many demon gods, causing them to narrow their eyes. Extremely arrogant. Even Dapra was already furious with the madness of the boy in front of him. What are they? It is the demon god, the most arrogant and evil existence in this world, but this kid dared to be so arrogant and arrogant in front of their eyes. Kill him. Dapra let out a cold drink, quietly retreated, and let the battlefield out. After the order was given, countless demon gods rushed up, staring at Yang Qing, full of anger and killing intent. Boy, you must die today. I will smash your bones into pieces one by one, and peel off your flesh to make a cushion. You will die without a burial. The cold and cruel voices continued to be heard, showing the ruthlessness of these demon gods. Yang Qing's blood is burning, and the golden breath is rising from the sky. Suddenly, his eyes widened, and a loud roar came out of his mouth. Battle. The sound was so loud that it distorted the air in front of it. Kill. At this moment, I don't know how to kill the demon god soaring into the sky, rushing towards where Yang Qing was. The demon gods are not stupid, they can feel the strong aura and attacking power of Yang Qing, so when they make a move, they will attack with all their strength, and they will move together. At this moment, there are more than 1,000 demon gods moving. Just like a group of bees, Yang Qing's figure was drowned in the blink of an eye. Of course, since Yang Qing was the only enemy, only a limited number of demon gods could appear in front of Yang Qing at the same time. These demon gods launched extremely fierce attacks from the top of his head, his feet, left and right, front and back. Come on, fight. With another roar, Yang Qing's aura was so powerful that Dapra, the king of the demon world, shrank his pupils. Bang bang bang. A series of collision sounds came out, and the first wave of demon gods rushed up, and everyone completed a confrontation with Yang Qing. Immediately afterwards, the first wave of demon gods in the center collapsed. I don't know how many demon gods began to vomit blood and fell from the sky. Thousands of demon gods attacked Yang Qing. At this moment, Yang Qing naturally showed no mercy. Every punch and kick of his was so powerful that many demon gods he suppressed could not get close. Kill, he only has one, as long as he hits him once, he will surely die. Some demon gods roared loudly, the demon gods' eyes were cold and ferocious, their faces were extremely crazy, and they charged towards Yang Qing again. Whoa, Whoa, whoa. Crimson qigong waves spread all over the sky, emitting from all directions, and then gathered together towards Yangqing at the very center. Boom! A huge flame exploded, and Yangqing was overwhelmed by this second wave of qigong attacks. Because of the large number of demon gods, his range of activities was extremely narrow. This blow was all hit. After 3 breaths, the smoke dissipated, and Yangqing's figure surrounded by golden flames appeared in the eyes of the demon gods, making them gasp. Aside from the fact that his clothes seemed to be broken, his strong body showed no signs of injury at all. Where did such a powerful god come from? Dapra stood at the back, his pupils contracted, staring at Yangqing closely. As far as he knows, even the highest god in the heavens, the king of gods, does not have such a strong fighting power. Roar! After blocking an attack, Yangqing was completely furious. He raised his head and let out a roar, his expression icy and oppressive. With a roar, his figure suddenly rose into the sky and came to the demon gods again. Kill! Facing Yangqing, who was already crazy, the demon gods also became crazy and launched an attack on him regardless of life and death. The demon gods of these demon worlds have been promoted from the cruelest and fiercest battles. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. The life and death of the body has long been ignored. Above the sky, the aftermath of the powerful attacks spread out, and Yangqing was like a tiger entering a flock. Of the demon gods, none of them can fight him for a single round, but in an instant, they will bring down a large number of demon gods. However, there are too many demon gods. In this frantic and complicated battle, Yangqing's body gradually began to show signs of injury, and his physical strength was rapidly depleting. Yangqing's mouth kept howling, the desire to fight, the blood of the Saiyans began to boil, making him fight to madness. Ants kill more elephants, let alone these powerful demons. In this shocking battle, Yangqing confronted thousands of demon gods with one person. His mighty power terrified these demon gods. Thousands of demon gods fought against one person for nearly half an hour. But this god is still fighting frantically. He is like a machine that doesn't know how to stop, and he seems to be the craziest warrior in the universe, able to fight until the last second of his life. Battle. Once again, such a voice came from Yangqing's mouth. The golden aura on his body flickered inexplicably, and his body shook. This scene was seen by the demon gods that still existed in the sky, and they were immediately stunned, and then they reacted, and their faces flashed with surprise. Chapter 796 Physical Crisis. He's not strong enough, come on, kill him. This golden pattern is the state of his transformation. At this moment, he is almost unable to maintain it, and his powerful combat power is about to collapse. Let's go together and give him the final blow. The demon gods shouted loudly, looking at Yangqing, who was floating in the air. The light on his body had already started to flicker, his eyes were full of excitement. Immediately afterwards, the crazy demon god attacked Yangqing again. Exhausted, are you about to hold on? Yangqing's face was covered in sweat, and the light in his eyes was extremely fierce. He had an amazing momentum with him. Until now, his physical strength has indeed been consumed a lot, and there is a tendency that he can't hold on. However, you group of shrimp soldiers and crab generals also want to give me the final blow. Suddenly, Yangqing's eyes became extremely ferocious, and glanced at the attacking demon gods. He actually let out a low roar right next, and then the whole person took the lead in attacking the rushing demon gods. At this moment, his originally unstable golden aura suddenly lit up and became even brighter. In an instant, Yangqing had already reached the front of the several demon gods. His ferocious and fierce eyes immediately startled the demon gods who rushed up, and there was a trace of fear in their hearts. Such crazy, terrifying eyes shot directly at the most vulnerable place in their hearts, causing them to collapse. Bang! With one punch, Yangqing directly hit the demon god at the front. The violent power radiated out instantly, the devil screamed, and the whole body was quickly torn apart, bursting into a bloody fog. first stage of the super tournament, and was directly blown up by Yang Qing with just one punch. Afterwards, Yang Qing's figure flashed again, and he came to the front of the second one. He clasped his palms together, and slammed the face of the demon god who was ushering in a savage hammer. Bang! The flesh and blood were blurred, the demon god's face shattered directly, and after another painful scream, he fell to the ground. Immediately afterwards, Yang Qing's violent power terrified the demon gods, and he was like a fierce beast that went forward bravely and did not stop at all. Every punch, every kick, can smash a demon. In just 3 short minutes, nearly 500 demon gods were defeated by him, falling into the air, and those lying on the ground kept screaming. Yang Qing's strength was completely imprinted in the hearts of the demon gods at this moment. From the murderous intent at the beginning, to falling into a frantic fight to the death, and then to this moment, the demon gods looked at Yang Qing with obvious panic. The fighting power of this fierce god really scared the demon gods of the demon world. Yang Qing continued to move forward, his face was indifferent, his eyes were full of brutality, the bellicose and bloody nature of Saiyans. At this moment, because of the crazy battle, it was finally completely exposed. Suddenly, after he completely knocked the 10 demon gods to the ground again, the golden color on his head suddenly disappeared and his black hair was restored. At the same time, Yang Qing's violent aura also dissipated instantly and became much weaker. The demon gods who were in panic were stunned for a moment, their eyes flickered, but they did not act rashly. The guy in front of him just now was too terrifying. Even if the transformation mode dissipated, the demon god did not dare to go forward for a while. Suspended in the air, Yang Qing's cheeks were covered with sweat, and his face was pale. From the battle to now, the only physical strength left is not enough to support the battle of Super Saiyan 2. The demon gods on the opposite side did not attack for the time being, and he was taking this opportunity to take a quick rest. After this battle, I must go to Karen Cat's place to order fairy beans. The situation at the moment is really dangerous for Yang Qing. If these demon gods charge again, it is still unknown whether his only physical strength can knock down all the demon gods present. Dapra stood in the void, and the 6 demon gods around him stood respectfully behind him. Looking at Yang Qing floating in the void at the moment, Dapra's eyes flashed, and a smile appeared on his face. It seems that no matter how strong a guy is, there will be times when he is weak. His physical strength has reached the limit, and even that powerful transformation cannot be sustained. Suddenly, the smile on Dapra's face dissipated and turned cold. He gave a cold drink to the demon gods who surrounded Yang Qing. Kill him, his stamina is running out. Yang Qing has been fighting until now. Even Dapra is shocked by his strength. Dapra himself compared it secretly. Even if he goes up personally, he may not be able to deal with this young god. This guy is really powerful, but it's too stupid. When a person fights against the entire demon world, I really don't know whether to admire his courage or despise his stupidity. My physical strength has bottomed out, but the devils, there are still more than 500. Glancing at the ground, the demon god full of blood and screams was lying on the ground densely, which was very spectacular. These are all under the fist of Yang Qing, or have died, or are seriously injured and unable to move. Looking at the number, they have already broken the number of 2,000. The only remaining demon gods, who occasionally glanced at the ground, would feel a chill in their hearts, and their backs were eerie and cold. The young god on the other side, who seems to be unable to hold on, is too powerful. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. Go on, kill him, didn't you hear my order? Dapra said a word and frowned when he saw that no one obeyed his orders. He knew that this was because the power of the young god was too strong, scaring these demon gods. His physical strength has bottomed out. You give him the last blow, and he will surely die. At this moment, the demon god beside Dapra said loudly. This sentence immediately made the demon god's eyes light up, and their courage grew stronger again. They carefully observed Yang Qing in front of them, and sure enough, they found that the other party lost the powerful aura just now, and there was still a hint of weakness between the eyebrows. He really can't do it. His attack just now was domineering and fierce, and he used to face it with head to head. Now, standing in the void and not attacking is just to delay time and give himself time to recover his physical strength. The demon gods understood, looked at each other, and saw the eagerness in each other's eyes. Go on, kill him, this kid really can't do it. Finally, a demon god tried to attack for the first time, and they roared and rushed towards Yangqing quickly. Chapter 797 Fall. When I can't do it. It's ridiculous. The cold words came out of Yangqing's mouth, and then, the demon god who rushed forward saw the incomparably cold look in the other's eyes, as if he was looking at a dead person, and he couldn't help but tremble in his heart. Bang! A black light flashed, and the demon god's head was stunned. Yangqing's figure brushed past the former, and his right hand slapped the demon god's cheek fiercely. It can be clearly seen that the huge power of that punch deformed and distorted the face of the devil. In the end, the demon god fell down heavily, screaming in pain. This powerful explosive blow made the demon gods who wanted to rush in behind stagnate again. A bunch of trash, don't be afraid, give it to this king, he's exhausted. Dapra's face was ugly, and he shouted loudly. The demon gods hesitated, but in the end, dozens of demon gods slowly floated up and surrounded Yangqing again. Come on, I'll let you know what cruelty is. A cold light flashed in his icy eyes. Yangqing's momentum at this moment made the demon gods terrified. Kill him. After a loud shout, the demon gods still rushed up. Dozens of demon gods attacked at the same time, almost instantly covering Yangqing's space. His eyes flickered, and Yangqing's face was extremely cold. Dapra's judgment was good. His physical strength was almost exhausted. He just floated in the air and did not move. He was indeed delaying time, waiting for his physical strength to recover. However, no matter how weak Yangqing was, he was powerful enough to surpass these demon gods. Suddenly, Yangqing's figure turned into phantoms. Dozens of Yangqing appeared at the same time in the void, and there was a Yangqing standing in front of each demon god. His face was cold and his movements varied. Some clenched their fists and slammed them down, some light blue qigong waves gathered on their right hands, some raised their feet to slash, and some raised their legs to sweep. But there is no doubt that the speed of these Yangqing is unbelievable. At the same time, there was a continuous sound in the sky. Boom, boom, ah. Dozens of demon gods, almost instantly, were all defeated by dozens of Yangqing who turned into phantoms, screamed, and then fell. Shadow Fist. The demon who attacked was dealt with, and the phantom of Yangqing in the sky just disappeared and merged into one. At this time, Yangqing spit out 3 words softly. This is the afterimage boxing developed by Yangqing himself, combined with the classics of Zhuang Shengxing. Seeing the demon gods who were dealt with neatly, Dapra's face became extremely ugly. And the remaining demon gods, although there are still a lot of them, but their courage has been frightened by the black-haired gods suspended in the void. It's horrible, this guy. He killed thousands of demon gods, how could he be so terrifying? I really want to run away, but King Dapra is here. The eyes of the demon gods flickered, and their eyes were full of fear. Yangqing's strength made them extremely fearful. A person who has pushed the demon world horizontally, for thousands of years, I am afraid that he is the only one. The scene suddenly came to a standstill. The demon gods confronted Yangqing, and neither of them took the lead in attacking. Because the demon god was afraid of Yangqing, he thought that the opponent was exhausted, but the truth was always hitting them in the face. No one knew how much power the man in that match still had. Yangqing, on the other hand, took advantage of this time to quickly recover his physical strength. Glancing around, there are still many enemies. He must seize the time, adjust his breathing, and breathe quickly. A minute and a second passed, and the breeze blew lightly. Apart from the occasional screams and groans of the demon gods on the ground, there was only the sound of quiet breathing. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble. Boom! The airflow fluctuated violently, Yang Qing's eyes changed, and he clearly saw the shock in the eyes of the demon gods on the opposite side. Library, Kurado. The body of the beast, Kurado, he has attacked. The demon gods shouted in shock. Yang Qing felt the change in the surrounding atmosphere, the airflow became violent, and suddenly turned around. Just as he turned around, a powerful force directly impacted his abdomen, causing his complexion to change suddenly. A bunch of trash, this tiny god like an ant, can't deal with it. Kurado's voice came from hell, extremely dull, very low, rumbling like thunder. Yang Qing looked down and saw a rolling barb of scales and barbs that were almost invisible. At this moment, it was a sharp horn on the top of this huge beast that hit his stomach. Poof! Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Yang Qing's face turned pale. The body of this giant beast is huge, but the power in its body is also extremely terrifying, and Yang Qing has been injured with just one blow. Roar! Kurado roared, his limbs moved, and his head jerked. Through the tremor power emanating from the whole body, Yang Qing was immediately thrown away. This force is extremely huge, and the momentum of Yang Qing's flying out is unstoppable. Boom 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 boom. And this chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. The moment Yang Qing flew out, Kurado also launched an attack. His huge body closely followed Yang Qing's side, and dozens of spikes on his forehead flashed with a cold light again. The impact stabbed towards Yang Qing's body. In the air, Yang Qing felt the crisis at this moment. The thorns of this giant beast are like sharp blades. With one impact, he was seriously injured, and again, I am afraid he will be directly pierced. With a cold look in his eyes, Yang Qing controlled his body with anger, stopped his body's backward tendency, and then turned around. At this moment, Kurado slammed forward on the top of his head, and dozens of sharp thorns suddenly stabbed towards Yang Qing's body. With this stab, Kurado will completely dismember Yang Qing. This ferocious beast is even more cold and ruthless in his heart, and has no plans to keep his hands. Yang Qing's eyes flickered, he took a deep breath, and his body flashed a few times, dodging all the dozens of sharp thorns that came from the impact. Incredibly fast, it all happened in an instant. However, just after Yang Qing thought that all the attacks had been avoided by him, a strong wind suddenly came from overhead. Then, he was beaten heavily. Bang! Yang Qing's body fell directly from the sky. Chapter 798 Get out of here. Yang Qing didn't even see what the thing that attacked him was, but Dapra and the demon gods who were watching the battle could see it clearly. It was a tail, full of thorns and corners. It was as tough as steel, and it was several thousand meters long. After slapping Yang Qing to the ground, it swayed slightly and folded it, swept up in the air. Airflow fluctuates. Kurado is too powerful. He is really the beast god of the World of Warcraft. He is too powerful. That young god, exhausted, will not be the opponent of Kurado. Great, this fight is finally over. Excited smiles appeared on the faces of the demon gods, and they let out a sigh of relief in their hearts. Look at the defeated demon gods on the ground, how miserable they are at the moment. They are so badly injured, I am afraid it will be difficult to recover. Kurado, as expected of the war beast of my demon world. Dapra laughed, admiring Kurado's strength, and then he turned his eyes to Yang Qing, who was drawn by Kurado and fell to the ground. On the ground, because of Kurado's tail, Yang Qing fell, and a deep pit appeared immediately. After being beaten by Kurado, Yang Qing did not move at all. The demon gods had expressions of joy on their faces, and Dapra turned his eyes into the pothole. He's seriously injured. At a glance, the ground was red with blood, and the powerful body lay there motionless, as if it had lost its breath. Dapra's eyes flashed and he looked carefully. Huh! The vitality is so powerful that it is not dead yet. Dapra's eyes narrowed and his heart was shocked. He knew very well how terrifying Kurado's tail strike was. The power of that slap, even dozens of high mountains, would instantly destroy it. But this god, actually endured the attack of Kurado, and has not died. Eyes flashed, Dapra shouted loudly. Corrado, he's not dead, give him a fatal blow. Corrado's huge body trembled, and his eyes narrowed. Then, his voice buzzed and his words came out. Dapra, shut up and don't direct me. Corrado's voice was so loud that it spread throughout the demon world, making Dapra's face turn black immediately. This god of beasts is extremely powerful, but he is also the only guy in the demon world who doesn't listen to his orders. At this moment, he is resisting himself on the spot in front of the demon gods, making Dapra feel like he has been beaten in the face. Humph. But he didn't say much, just snorted. This beast hasn't been born for thousands of years, and he can't control it, so he doesn't care. Everyone saw that Corrado came to Yongqing after retorting and disgusting Dapra. The huge pupils looked down, and Yongqing's lying body and blood-covered appearance immediately caught the eyes of Corrado. The weak ants are vulnerable in front of this beast god. The dull voice came out, and the ground under his feet trembled and trembled. Corrado was too huge. He spoke like thunder, stood up like the sky shaking, and his power was amazing. Yongqing, who was lying on the ground, remained motionless. It seemed that he had been seriously injured and passed out in a coma. After Corrado looked at Yongqing carefully, his whole body was shocked, and his huge right foot was slowly raised. Just let me stomp you into flesh and end this farce. A mere deity wants to make trouble in the demon world. Boom. When Corrado's huge figure moved, the wind surged, the air trembled, and the ground was full of smoke and dust. At this moment, Yongqing, who was lying down, suddenly opened his eyes. Still awake. But, no use. Corrado also found out, but his eyes were indifferent and he still stepped on it. Its huge stature caused the airflow to surge, and the pressure was lowered towards Yongqing. Where's the beast? An incomparably cold voice came from Yongqing's mouth. His figure suddenly stood up. His eyes were incomparably cold, his black hair suddenly grew longer and turned green at this moment, and what was even more terrifying was that his body was also expanding, his arms became thicker, and his height was also growing, but in an instant, his whole person had become 3.46 meters tall, and his muscles looked extremely impactful. The legendary Super Saiyan mode, at this moment, is displayed again. Yongqing's stamina can no longer be changed to Super 1 or 2, but this mode of getting stronger with more battles has no effect at all. He can even use this mode to become stronger and stronger in battle, recover his physical strength, and become stronger. In this instant, Corrado's right foot has been stepped on fiercely, the wind is surging, and the huge pressure is falling on Yongqing's head. Ha! In Yongqing's majestic body, he let out a loud shout, and his hands suddenly propped up. The next moment, there was a roar of boom, the ground cracked open, and there were spider-web-like cracks on the ground under Yongqing's feet, which split apart. And Corrado, who was huge and extremely confident in his own strength, had a look of surprise in his eyes, followed closely, shocked. How is that possible? He felt that under his feet, there was an incomparably huge force, propping up towards the sky. This force was unbelievable. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. He even held up his right foot abruptly. It's that weak god. In an instant, Corrado reacted, and then he was furious and stepped down with all his strength. I'm going to stomp you into flesh. You think too much. Yongqing's icy voice came out at the same time. His hands were facing the sky, his whole body muscles were like a chulong, and the mad power exploded in an instant. The Saiyan's blood is getting stronger and stronger, at this moment, in his body, roaring wildly. It turned into a roaring and roaring long, in Yongqing's meridians, in the blood vessels, wandering quickly, sending endless power into his torso. Boom! A voice like thunder came out, and in the eyes of the demon god who were left in shock, Corrado's incomparably huge figure was lifted up by Yongqing so abruptly. Compared with the two, Yongqing's body is not even as big as a toe of Corrado. But under such a strong contrast, it showed Yongqing's terrifying power. Damn boy! Corrado roared and roared, and the terrifying force again suppressed Yangqing. But the latter's eyes glared angrily, and he also let out a loud shout. "Get out of here!" Chapter 799 An incomparably majestic power erupted from Yangqing's body. His face was hideous, his strength was powerful, and that terrifying power swept towards Kurado in an instant. This power can overturn mountains and seas, collapse mountains, and crack the earth, which is really terrifying. Even though Kurado is 1,000 meters long and as huge as a hill, in front of this power, it actually looks small. Boom! The muffled voice continued, and at this moment, Kurado's huge body was lifted up by Yangqing's hands in the terrified and shocked eyes of the demon gods. Then it lifted off slowly, gradually getting higher and higher off the ground. Roar! Kurado roared angrily, his eyes were full of shock and inconceivable. He couldn't imagine how such a terrifying power could be contained in this tiny body. His strength is infinite, and when he lifts his feet, the ground shakes, and that is because of his own size. But this tiny god, where did he get such terrifying power? Damn ants! The roar continued, and the strength of Kurado's whole body began to gather, towards his right foot, and stepped down hard. But the ant-sized deity didn't move at all. He was like an incomparably strong iron nail, pressing it firmly under his feet, and on top of this nail, terrifying power continued to radiate towards him. His limbs extended and spread, wrapping his entire body in a blink of an eye, covering it all. Under this power, Kurado's huge body was out of his control. Before he knew it, he was imprisoned by this power. Higher and higher from the ground, the wind whistled in Kurado's ears. In Kurado's huge eyes, the anger also began to change towards shock and shock. For the first time, Kurado saw a human god who could crush himself in such a way. My god, Kurado, the beast god of the demon world, was actually lifted up by that god. That power is terrifying. Kurado actually lost to that human being in the competition for power. Then what is the human going to do? What does he want to do when he lifts Kurado into the sky? Anyone who faces Kurado will have a headache. The body is too large, and it will indeed cause many flaws, but that is also the scoring situation. A body as huge as Kurado is almost like a mountain. The gods of average size, the devils, are almost ignored in front of him. Even if the strength is strong, in hand-to-hand combat, it will appear very weak. And Kurado itself, because of its huge body, the power stored in it is even more powerful to the realm of terror. Even Dapra, the king of the demon world, would have to give in the face of Kurado, and there was no certainty of victory. However, this god can actually complete such a move. It is like a feat. Boom! Kurado's body was too big, and while Yangqing raised his body, dull thunder kept coming out. Small ants, what do you want to do? With shock, Kurado roared loudly. His barbed tail also swept through the air at this moment, like a long sharp thorn, stabbed towards Yangqing. Hoo-hoo! The strong wind swept across, and Kurado's tail pierced through the void and reached Yangqing in the blink of an eye. The latter's eyes flickered, his body trembled, and he quickly avoided it. At the same time, he also let go of the hands holding the right foot. The tail seems to be easier to handle than the huge right foot. A smile appeared on Yangqing's face. He dodged from left to right, and quickly avoided the stab at him, turning into a phantom tail. Kurado's tail is extremely long and has terrifying attack power. Whether it is steel or mountains, it can be pierced by him in an instant, and the body of a living being is even easier. The long tail is covered with sharp thorns, like swords. Because of the speed, it turns into an extremely terrifying attack. If it touches, it will be cut into pieces in an instant. Yangqing saw the domineering unfolding, and quickly evaded, trying to find the gap in the attack and attack the tail. In this way, time quickly passed 13 breaths. At this moment, the tail that launched the attack paused for a while because of the gap between the attacks. This time is very short and hard to find. However, after Yangqing's eyes flashed, he caught it instantly. Then he moved. His speed became even more violent at this moment, almost turning into an electric light, and 1,000th of his breath had already arrived in front of the constantly shaking and aggressive tail. Ha ha. After a long laugh, Yang Qing stretched out his hands and grabbed them violently. Under this grasp, Kurado immediately shrank his pupils and let out a roar. The tail is his sharp weapon for attacking people, but it is also an important part to maintain his balance. At this moment, Yang Qing grabs him, and his whole body seems to have a small electric current flashing immediately, and there is an instant paralysis. And at this moment of paralysis, his whole body was out of his control. Ha! From Yang Qing's mouth, there was a roar that was almost a roar, and his terrifying power was fully displayed at this moment. Grabbing Kurado's tail with both hands, he began to twitch violently. Buzz! The air began to tremble, and Kurado's huge body was violently swayed by Yang Qing at this moment. Then, a gust of wind blew out, and the air continued to twist. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. Woohoo! The strong wind continued to roar, and Kurado's body, under Yang Qing's swing, was no longer under his control, and turned unexpectedly, turning into a huge spinning top with the sound of the wind. Buzz! The dull voice kept coming out, and the roar of Kurado was like thunder, but it was useless. Yang Qing's incomparable power surpasses all gods and demons. Even if the opponent is a mountain, he cannot get out of his control. In a blink of an eye, Kurado was quickly swayed by Yang Qing in the air, and he did not know how many turns. In Kurado's huge pupils, there were even circles of dizzy circles, and everything in front of him began to blur. Roar! The roar was getting lower and lower. In the face of this powerful force, he could not resist, and he was very helpless. Kurado, at a disadvantage. That god, if you want to throw Kurado out, will Kurado be seriously injured? My god, that god, the power is terrifying. Chapter 800. Let's end it. The gods and demons present were all shocked and speechless. Watching Yang Qing swayed Kurado in the field, so relaxed and casual, their eyes were full of inconceivable. Dapra's pupils kept shrinking, and he didn't know what to think in his heart, but it was obvious that his hanging hands were clenched tightly at the moment. Yeah. After twirling Kurado for an unknown number of times, Yang Qing finally let out a loud roar and loosened his hands. In an instant, Kurado's incomparably huge body suddenly flew out. How powerful is the inertia driven by the powerful force? Just blinking his eyes, Kurado was thrown hundreds of thousands of meters away. With his right hand pressed between his eyebrows, Yang Qing's eyes were sharp, and his figure began to distort. Momentarily moved, after a breath, he appeared extremely small compared to Kurado's body, and appeared on top of Kurado's head. At this moment, Kurado's body was completely out of his control. He tried to control himself, but he didn't use it at all. Until this moment, he still hadn't figured out where that tiny god came from. Enormous power. Woo! The breeze blew, and in the blurred huge pupils, Kurado saw Yang Qing again, and suddenly, his heart trembled. He saw the tiny god, stretched out one hand and aimed at him, and a bad premonition suddenly appeared in his heart. What are you going to do? Kurado roared up to the sky, and the roar was filled with panic. The light blue light was released, shining extremely brightly, filling Kurado's eyes with a blink of an eye. This dazzling light caused his eyes to be absent for a while. Buzzing. The air oscillated due to the violent energy fluctuations, and Kurado was frightened. The light blue light was getting bigger and stronger, and the smell of gunpowder smoke filled his mouth and nose at this moment. This is an extremely explosive Qigong wave attack, which can blow him to pieces in an instant. Stop it. Kurado's tragic voice came out, and the next moment, the light shone, covering half of the sky, and an incomparably huge explosion swept the flames all over the sky, wrapping Kurado's head. Boom! In the end, the huge body fell from the sky and hit the ground heavily, flattening a mountain and peak on the ground. Seeing this scene, the pupils of the demon gods in the distance shrank, and some even trembled all over their bodies. The incomparably powerful and almost invincible Kurado, the god of beasts, was actually defeated by that god. Dapra's hands also trembled, and at this moment there was a momentary blank in his head. What to do? The king of the demon world, at this moment, because of Yang Qing's powerful power, confusion appeared in his eyes. In front of this terrifying power, all the demon gods were stunned, and they didn't know how to face it. After that, they saw that stalwart, strong body, slowly falling from a high altitude, and landed smoothly on the ground, and he landed not far from Kurado, with his back facing the huge mountain god of warcraft. Step by step, he began to walk forward. His cold face and stern eyes left an indelible impression on all the demon gods present at this moment. This is a powerful god who is even more demonic than a demon. He challenged the entire demon world with one person. It seems that he is about to succeed. Such an incredible thing happened in front of them, making them swallow their saliva. Suddenly, the eyes of the demon gods flashed, and a trace of excitement appeared in their eyes. Boom! The dull and thunderous voice came out, and they saw that Kurado's huge body actually moved again. He was not dead yet. They saw that when Kurado moved, it was as if more than a dozen mountain ranges were shaking, earth shattering, and with a rumbling sound, his huge body suddenly stood up. Then, the beast god of the world of war broke out an indescribable rage. This time, he did not roar up to the sky, nor did he roar. Half of his face was scorched black by the Qigong wave, and he was actually seriously injured. However, he couldn't bear it, couldn't bear such a huge humiliation. He wanted to explode and smash the tiny god in front of him into pieces. He stretched out his right paw, and then suddenly slapped it forward. The pressure in the air suddenly increased, and Yang Qing's eyes suddenly became sharper. The speed of the giant claw was extremely fast, and it fell on top of his head in an instant. But just 3 inches away from the top of his head, Yang Qing's figure suddenly disappeared. Bang! The ground shook, and cobweb-like cracks spread in all directions. Kurado let out a shocking roar, angry that he didn't hit that abominable god with one blow. Huh! Yang Qing's figure appeared in front of Kurado's head again, with his arms in his arms and his eyes cold. Your strength is huge, but your body is too big. In my eyes, your whole body is a target. You are nothing but great power. Roar! Kurado was even more angry, and he grabbed it and pulled it out again, but Yang Qing's figure was distorted, leaving him only a phantom. As Yang Qing said, Kurado's power is terrifyingly strong, but the speed is too slow. He couldn't keep up with Yang Qing at all, and even hitting Yang Qing was very difficult. Come on, you're not enough. This chapter is not over. Click on the next page to continue reading. A cold voice spit out from Yang Qing's mouth. In the next instant, Yang Qing came to Kurado again. Then, he twisted his waist and threw out his right leg. Bang! The sound of this blow was extremely dull, like hitting a big drum, but the violent power made countless demon gods swallow their saliva. It can be clearly seen that Kurado's huge body, which is more than 1,000 meters, is shocked. This kick spread the terrifying power all over Kurado's body in an instant. Kurado didn't fly out this time, but blood flowed like a river from his mouth, his eyes began to slack, and his consciousness dissipated at this moment. Boom! Like the sound of a mountain collapsing, Kurado's huge body fell down. This blow directly seriously injured him, made him dissipate his consciousness, passed out in a coma, and lost his combat effectiveness. Kurado, is he dead? This god, who can stop him? King Dapra, are you going to shoot? On the side, Dapra, who was a little stunned when he heard the discussions of the demons.